Hey guys, tonight we're not sailing with pirates. No creaking ships, no soggy boots, no questionable deckhands whispering to barnacles like their long lost friends. Instead, we're drifting into something far older, far stranger, and way bigger than any pirate ever dreamed of. A world ruled not by maps and compasses, but by thunderous footsteps, swaying tails, and jaws big enough to eat your entire Wi-Fi router in one bite. Tonight, we're stepping into the age of dinosaurs. But not the Hollywood version, not the slow motion, roaring, overly dramatic. Somebody definitely forgot to read a science book version. I mean, the real Earth, back when continents were still figuring out where they wanted to sit, when the air was thicker, the plants were weirder, and the world's most successful lifestyle was simply be enormous and hope for the best. But before we wander through prehistoric forests and watch lizard-hipped giants stomp across a world without Mondays, go ahead and like the video and subscribe, but only if this kind of quiet, cozy, mildly nerdy bedtime storytelling actually helps you relax. If not, no worries. Even dinosaurs didn't get along with everyone, especially the ones who looked like angry chickens with identity issues. Leave a comment telling me where you're listening from and what time it is for you right now. It's always 2 a.m. somewhere. And if you're here, there's a good chance you're trying to fall asleep to the comforting realization that at least you don't have to outrun a hungry Allosaurus before breakfast. Now dim those lights, switch on a fan for that soft white noise, sink into your pillow and maybe tuck your feet under a blanket. Not because of rats this time, but because an imaginary pterosaur might swoop down and steal your socks for nesting material. Unlikely, but scientifically adorable. Let's pause for a moment. Have you ever wondered what life actually felt like when the world was young and wild, and every creature looked like it was designed by someone who mixed up the instructions? When the Earth was one giant landmass slowly breaking apart like a dramatic couple, when ferns grew taller than houses, when dragonflies had wingspans the size of pizzas, and when survival mostly depended on not being stepped on, what did it feel like to live in a world where predators had teeth, the length of your phone, where herbivores could squash you by accident, and where the sky itself was filled with winged reptiles who were just barely figuring out how flying worked? Tonight, we're going to drift into that world, not to fear it, not to sensationalize it, but to float gently through it. The way dust settles through ancient sunlight, the way warm wind moves through primeval forests, the way time itself breathes. So take a slow breath in, let the noise of your day fade away, and imagine a world untouched by humans, untouched by cities, untouched by anything except the slow, patient rhythm of life becoming magnificent. Settle in. Close your eyes if you haven't already, and let the story begin. Chapter 1. Before the world began to move. And now, as your breath slows and the day begins to fade into something soft and distant, let's drift far, far back beyond history, beyond memory, beyond anything humans have ever written down. Back to a time before the continents had names, before oceans divided worlds, before life learned how to roar, stomp, or fly. Picture this, a sweeping, endless view of Pangaea, one colossal supercontinent, stretching from horizon to horizon, a single unbroken landmass, basking beneath a sun far more intense than the one that warms you now. The landscape is vast, silent, and strangely still. No birds, no mammals, no flowers, no grass, just wind, rock, sand, and time. The earth here is sun-baked and ancient. its surface cracked like pottery left too long in a kiln. Mountains rise in the distance, not the jagged, snow-crowned peaks we know today, but nascent, forming ranges, young and awkward, like the first attempts of the planet to shape itself. The deserts are massive, vast, featureless expanses where dunes stretch for thousands of miles and the air trembles with heat. There is no rain, no river to interrupt the silence, just the steady patience of a world preparing for something extraordinary. The sky above Pangaea is wide and empty, a pale and endless dome that feels almost too large for the world beneath it. Clouds are rare, and when they appear, they cling to the horizon like shy visitors, unsure whether they're welcome. The wind moves slowly across the land, lifting dust in long, lazy spirals, as if even the air hasn't quite learned how to hurry yet. And then, from somewhere deep beneath the crust, the earth shifts. Not violently, not suddenly, just a subtle reminder that even worlds evolve a whisper of the continental drift that will someday tear this supercontinent into pieces and send them wandering across the globe like massive ancient ships. But here, in this moment, Pangaea is whole. Life exists, but only barely. Tiny ferns cling to shaded cracks in stone. Early insects skitter across the sand, leaving delicate trails soon erased by the wind. The oceans, still far away, cradle the earliest ancestors of creatures that will someday walk, swim, and soar. But on land, the world waits. It waits millions of years for dinosaurs to arrive. It waits for forests to rise, for ecosystems to flourish, for thunderous footsteps to shake the earth. It waits for teeth, claws, feathers, wings for the golden age that will someday dominate this silent planet. For now, Pangaea rests in stillness, a world holding its breath before history begins. And as you stand here in the warmth of this prehistoric sun, in the quiet of a world untouched by civilization, in the vastness of a land where nothing yet has a name, you can feel time stretching out before you. Endless, patient, unrushed. The mountains will rise higher, the deserts will shift, the seas will creep inward. Species will emerge, dominate, vanish. Meteors will fall. Continents will drift apart like old friends, taking separate paths. But for now, everything is still. So as you drift deeper into this ancient calm, let your thoughts quiet, let your body soften, and feel the gentle weight of a world before chaos, before movement, before history. A world waiting for dinosaurs. A world waiting for life to begin its greatest chapter. A world serene and silent beneath a timeless sun. Chapter 2, The Dawn of a New Era. Hey guys, as we tiptoe into the world of dinosaurs, we might just be wandering into bedtime stories that jazz up your dreams and maybe cause a giggle or two. Tonight, we explore something more dramatic than finding out your favorite biscuit flavor has been discontinued. The aftermath of the dinosaur's reign. Prepare yourself for a wild ride where the cosmos cooperated about as well as a toddler with a sugar rush. Welcome to an earth-shattering tale revolving around the golden age of dinosaurs, where we witness the grand transition from mighty beasts to the delicate blooms of what would eventually become mammalian glory. Imagine for a moment what if your alarm clock was a meteor, and what if your morning coffee was actually another dinosaur's last breakfast. Now, as we settle in, dim those lights and crank that fan for some much-needed pre-hibernation comfort. Think soft pillows, cozy blankets, and not those overstuffed ones that look like they've been wrestling with the family cat. And consider this. Ever pondered what it would have been like to endure a global catastrophe while trying to figure out what to wear? Perhaps a last-minute dino prom outfit would your tea Rex friends squabble over tuxedo choices? Or did pterodactyls have a killer accessory game with their wings? And just how many asteroid impacts does it take before you throw your hands up in disbelief while asking the cosmos, really, another one? Take a second to settle down, because congratulations. You've just woken up 66 million years ago, and the world's greatest lizard hip-hop event is over, leaving chaos in its wake as flora and fauna scramble to adapt. Picture it. The sun is rising after a catastrophic night, and the land resembles something out of a dream or a particularly wild Halloween party gone wrong. You inhale deeply. The air is fresher than a spruced up barn in spring. The birdsong, ah, what a symphony. But wait, those aren't just any birds. Who knew that the era of the dinosaurs would lead us into an age of feathered gentlemen dancing through the skies to their own tunes, adjusting their tiny jackets for maximum aerodynamic flair? As you wander through the aftermath, it's like stumbling upon a medieval Renaissance fair that forgot to set up the tents. The ground is cracked, like your resolve after trying to follow a yoga class while ignoring the instructor. You can just about taste the ash mingling with the fresh earth beneath your feet. Nostalgia finds you not with an envelope of old lunch money, but with an unstoppable wave of ferns and flowers bursting forth as if to say, "We got this! Humanity needs a garden." Let's talk about resilience. Post-catastrophe, the landscape is a palette of green, like a cheeky artist moonlighting as an eco-warrior. You smell the rich, loamy earth. No perfume can capture its charm, not even that discontinued cologne with dinosaur track prints on the bottle. As life reclaims its territory, it's not unlike when you finally tackle your apartment's mess, distant remnants of tea. Rex bones become the last vestige of an era, while creeping vines eagerly pull the last vestiges of chaos into the embrace of nature. Oh, and hear that gentle crunch? It's not the sound of your midnight snack, it's a chorus of renewed chirps and a chatter of all kinds of critters resurrecting the scene. Welcome to the post-dino dance party. What evolution didn't get. Now you may wonder if the birds are sharing secrets about their extinct predecessors, or perhaps tips on finding the best leftover crumbs from the great apocalypse feast. The sheer absurdity is delightful. Imagine a small sparrow puffing out its feathers, looking at a nearby dodo and declaring, "We'll be fine." That comet really prioritized the wrong crowd. If we travel deeper into this world, you'll notice how the landscape transforms, with wildflowers bursting from the remnants of chaos. It's like nature's way of saying, hey, don't dwell on the past, let's opt for a colorful brunch instead. And quite frankly, who wouldn't want to join in a morning meeting with vividly arranged blooms while sipping from a well-placed leaf cup like none of this cosmic upheaval ever happened? Taking a moment to appreciate this new world filled with dappled sunlight spilling down like a soft blanket entwined around your shoulders is bliss. And as you observe the burgeoning plants and the wildlife settling in, you're reminded that those who came before paved the way for what's now bright and lively. So as you prepare to slip into a gentle slumber, consider this. Every great night has to end, much like the dinosaurs' reign. But along with their disappearance came not just flowers, but the cozy glow of determination embedded in each fledgling species wandering into existence. Like your half-eaten bag of chips during late-night TV stints, sometimes things dissolve into dust, but it's the flavor left behind that counts. So nestle in, reflecting on the beauty of transformation, and revel in the fact that beneath the layers of destruction lay seeds of evolution waiting to unfold, reeking of normalized fabulousness. Drift away, reveling in the peace that follows the chaos, humming along to the jokes that dinosaurs would share if they had elevator music for extinction. Remember, life, as grand and ridiculous as it can get, has a way of finding paths when the world looks like it might end again. Chapter 3: The Great Split of Pangaea. Hey, you. Yes, you with the cozy blanket and dreams of triumph over spineless couch potatoes everywhere. Tonight, we embark on a journey more tumultuous than a soap opera star's love life. The dramatic breakup of Pangaea. Picture this. You wake up to find the continents. Those colossal land masses you've always known are in a serious relationship crisis. Think of them as tectonic plate couples on a home renovation show gone terribly wrong. Imagine waking up in the bustling Pangaean paradise of 252 million years ago, where the weather is warm, you can't tell if it's the sun or a nearby volcano causing that light dusting of ash over your morning coffee, and dinosaurs are about to take over the stage. You can practically hear the immense rumbles as tectonic plates decide they can no longer coexist in such cramped quarters. So grab your virtual hard hat and remember, the only thing more explosive than a mid-plate breakup is the molten rock swirling just beneath the crust. Before we dive in deeper, I'd like to gently remind you to like, subscribe, and comment if you find this journey of geological love triangles amusing, though, really, only if you genuinely enjoy it. No pressure, just cosmic chaos. Now, let's settle into a comfy spot as we explore some pressing questions about life here in this ancient paradise. Have you ever considered how awkward a dinner party would be for a T-Rex trying to fit at a one-legged table? Or have you thought about how much salt one would accidentally ingest at a long, smelly beach party with brontosaurus-sized waves crashing nearby? If a pterosaur swoops down for your sandwich, do you share or do you run for the nearest cave? And let's be honest, what would we even wear in a world before fashion, where a triceratops horn became a trendy necklace? Congratulations! You've just woken up in the late Triassic period, right before the great continental rift begins the dramatic scene. As you stretch and shake off the prehistoric grogginess, sunlight filters in through the lush canopies above. You might think, what a lovely day. But hold that thought. It's about to become quite the geological soap opera. Let's talk about breaking up specifically. The breakup of continents. The planet feels alive, as if Mother Earth herself has developed a roaring case of indigestion, leading to tectonic plates shifting and shoving each other around like high school students squabbling over the last Lunchable. As you stagger around from rock to rock, you can almost hear that familiar crackle of tension in the air. You might think it's just the local iguanodons munching on ferns, but that's not quite it. The very ground beneath your feet is rumbling and cracking, giving way to a beautiful yet terrifying breakup scene worthy of an Oscar. Massive fissures opening like dark, terrifying mouths. The ground roars, releasing clouds of ash that smell oddly sulfuric, like every bad breakfast you have ever had, mixed with, well, more bad breakfast. It smells like the earth has taken a risk with leftover tacos from last night's herbivore fiesta. With a quake and a shudder, the land begins to splinter apart and new oceans emerge, gaping like teenagers at a school dance, awkward and just a bit messy. There's an ocean now where your backyard used to be. If you weren't careful, you might inadvertently create the world's first surfing competition. Designed just for those daring enough to catch the prehistoric waves formed from melting magma. You glance down at the splitting land below, where massive rifts twinkle with the promise of new geological wonders and some unfortunate magma encounters. Because what's a breakup without a friendly volcano throwing a bit of molten passion into the mix? Who knew molten rock could be so romantic? It's almost as if the earth is shedding its old skin and awkward memories, as rivers of lava flow and create landmasses, shaping the world. Meanwhile, nearby, a group of herbivorous dinosaurs are watching with a mix of terror and disbelief. One presses a flipper to his forehead, saying, "I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of swimming in a brand new ocean." Ah, yes, nothing quite says anxiety. Like suddenly being separated from your favorite grazing ground. As the years drift by, you can see your surroundings transform. Land masses drift apart like kids running away from a dodgeball tournament. And like that awkward situation where nobody knows who threw the first ball, or in this case, which tectonic plate decided to leave the relationship, there's a whole lot of drama to be had. New continents take shape, some more huggable than others, giving birth to diverse ecosystems. But just when you think you're safe, the scene shifts again. With a cataclysmic slam worthy of an action movie climax, the breakup reaches its final act, culminating in a colossal disaster that'll have you gasping under your ancient wool blanket 66 million years ago, in a moment no one saw coming. And with that, my dear dreamer, the stage is set for a history filled with dinosaurs, oceans, and just a pinch of explosive drama that, much like your aunt's Thanksgiving speeches, you didn't ask for, but is utterly captivating nonetheless. Now, rest yourself a moment, for the intermissions of the cosmos are far from over, and our journey through this wild, wild time is only just beginning. Chapter 4: The Swamps of the Early Dinosaurs. Hey guys! Welcome back to another round of mildly historical treats, the kind of fun that's easier to digest than a pre-chewed piece of jerky after a long day at the quarry. Tonight, we step back, way back, to an age more ancient than your grandma's recipes. The glorious late Triassic period. A time when the land wasn't just warm, it was practically sizzling like bacon on a griddle. Imagine yourself waist deep in primordial swamp muck, with the sun beating down like a judgmental parent and the air thick enough to slice with a butter knife. It's like stepping into a bizarre cooking show called Ancient Ecosystems. What's in your swamp? Just try not to think about the fact that half of what's in that swamp could eat you faster than you can say Extinction event. But before we dig in too deep, like and subscribe if you find this journey just mildly amusing. Though you know, only if it tickles your fancy. And please don't forget to comment. After all, sharing is caring, even in the age of dinosaurs. So grab your favorite comfortable pillow, just make sure it's not made from something that once roamed these lands and dimmed those lights. Now, as you settle in, here's a little food for thought. Have you ever wondered what it was like to negotiate with a pterosaur over the last piece of fruit? Or try to avoid stepping into a fresh pile of, shall we say, dinosaur dung? What do you wear when you're stuck in a confrontation with a 2-ton lizard over a sunning rock? Is it more like a turtleneck or just raw skin? Ah, the fashion dilemmas of the prehistoric swamp dweller. Congratulations. You've just woken up in a swampy forest around 230 million years ago, the age of the scrappy dinosaur underdogs. Lush vegetation stretches out before you in every direction, as if the earth herself was trying her hand at an extravagant art installation, splattering greens, browns, and a delightful touch of mud everywhere. First, let's talk about the ambiance. It's like a party where the drink is swamp water, and the tune is the incessant buzzing of prehistoric insects that could make a modern-day mosquito dive in embarrassment. You feel a buzz in the air, a combination of heat and the faint aroma of whatever it is dinosaurs might have thought was delectable, mingled with the pungent scent of decay. Nothing says welcome like a bouquet of swamp. As you squish your way onto the muddy banks of the swamp, you notice a group of early dinosaurs, nervously twitching while navigating around their much larger reptilian cousins. They walk on two legs, swaying side to side like awkward teenagers at a school dance, and it's oddly charming. Their tiny arms flail about as they dodge flies almost like they're participating in an ancient version of interpretative dance, complete with some unexpected and unfortunate belly flops into the mud. Let's take a moment to marvel at their fashion choices, or rather, the distinct lack thereof. These dinosaurs had no concept of dress for success. You have to imagine them tackling important survival questions, like how do I keep my scaly armor from clashing with my swampy environment? Spoiler alert, they don't. They don't care one bit about matching, which is comforting in an odd way. You, too, ponder if perhaps that Hawaiian print shirt you own is finally making a comeback. Suddenly, someone yells, though it sounds more like a series of high-pitched honks as a larger dinosaur crashes through the underbrush. A meat eater! Look out! You're in the midst of what could be the world's first ever game of tag. Just when you thought you were getting cozy with the mud, here comes Draconix Rex to ruin your day. You contemplate ducking behind a nearby fern, wondering if that may times, just maybe times, be the same fern your ancestor might have eaten for lunch. But here's the kicker. The bigger dinosaurs? They've got their own set of problems. As they chase their own dinner, they slip and crash into the swampy ground, sending mud and gunk flying like a toddler's first attempt at painting. It's the kind of slapstick humor that your imagination can't help but chuckle at, while also making you deeply grateful for the invention of soap. As days unfold, you witness what could only be described as a high-stakes survival reality show, set against the backdrop of a lush yet treacherous world. Your early dinosaur pals, all scrappy and adventurous, begin to figure out clever ways to survive. One proudly announces they've discovered how to navigate the swamp by following the freshest piles of dung like a prehistoric GPS. Forget the maps, he says. This will lead us to the best grazing spots. And you can't help but think, wow, evolution is giving all these olive-drab featherweights a bird's-eye view of adaptation. They're finding ways to live like seasoned pros, or at the very least, like somewhat competent underwater ninjas. It's as though the universe said, you know what, let's throw some lizards into the mix and watch them try out for the amazing race, but with added peril as the sun begins to set, casting an orange glow across the swamp. You take a moment to appreciate the swirling chaos of life, a vibrant scene filled with both hilarity and a touch of doom. Those dusk-lit clearings whisper stories of both the thrilling and the absurd in a world where survival hangs by a scaly thread and where your biggest worry could be kidnapping responsible for sweatpants. So as you sink deeper into the marshy comfort of this ancient time, remember, the golden age of dinosaurs was not just about titanic giants. It was about scrappy little underdogs battling it out in a world that didn't take itself too seriously. Here's to the plucky two-legged dinosaurs always wading through the sludge of evolution, dragging the rest of us along for the ride. Now close your eyes and drift off while the dinosaurs continue their delightful chaos in the background, because there's more adventure yet to come. Chapter 5: The Great Catastrophe of No Return. Hey guys, welcome back to your cozy corner of mildly historical hilarity. Grab your imaginary archaeological tools, because tonight we're digging deeper than a triceratops in a moment's panic. We're about to embark on a journey through time to the dramatic finale of the Age of Dinosaurs, a calamity so grand it could rival your in-laws' Thanksgiving dinner. Yes, folks, we are venturing into the thrillingly chaotic world of the late Cretaceous, right around the time when a huge meteor decided to crash the dinosaur party, leaving everyone saying, "Wait, is that a rock in our ecosystem? Or are we just super unlucky?" Imagine yourself suspended in time, unlike that laundry you forgot in the wash. Dim the lights, take a deep breath, and let the scent of late Cretaceous flora fill your room, well, mentally, of course. Picture this, if you will, a prehistoric world swarming with magnificent beasts, where the only thing more imposing than the towering T-Rex was the sheer amount of mischief they got into. Have you ever wondered what it's like to be a dodo bird, sobbing softly because they might be next in line for extinction? Or perhaps you've pondered the philosophical dilemma of a pterosaur deciding whether to snack on a fish or a particularly juicy dinosaur egg? Catching dinner was serious business. So cozy up in your beds and picture yourself in the midst of this chaotic drama. You're about to wake up around 66 million years ago, the very edge of the world as the dinosaurs knew it. The clock is ticking. And wait, what's that rumbling? Oh, nothing major, just the Earth getting fed up and deciding to throw a global tantrum. As you awaken in this vibrant, bustling ecosystem, you first take in the spectacle. Towering conifers sway in a warm breeze, which is also eerily carrying the scent of impending doom. It's a bit like those weird aromas wafting from your fridge, a hint of something sweet mixed with the unmistakable odor of "we are so not on speaking terms" with fresh produce. But not everyone seems to notice. A group of hadrosaurs, those charming duck-billed wonders, are busy chatting about the latest gossip in the fossilized world, while wearing smug expressions. Did you hear about Ornithomimus? Word is, he fell into a mud pit while trying to impress a lady friend. Classic case of trying too hard. They giggle, blissfully ignorant that a massive rock from the cosmos is on a collision course with their world. Let's take a moment to appreciate their daily life. The hadrosaurs are busy nibbling on ferns and chit-chatting about nothing like serious professionals trying to appear engaged at a boring conference. Imagine this. Their melodic honks and whistles could very well be the world's first form of dinosaur. Small talk. So, how's the weather today? Oh, just standard dinosaur hazards. You? Still avoiding that tar pit, I hope. Meanwhile, the colossal T-Rex, nearby, is practicing his own version of cardio, mostly by panting like he just ran a marathon, while also trying to catch an evening snack for him. Running a mile likely involves stepping over several hapless raptors. Speaking of those speedsters, they're darting around fervently, hoping to score dinner before their own evening glories become the main course. But just as the laughter and yums unfold into the landscape, there's an ominous rumble, deeper than the one from that burrito you had last night. The earth shudders. Dust clouds gather like angry house guests who refuse to leave your living room. It's almost as if Mother Nature is standing up and exclaiming, "All right, playtime's over, let's shake things up a bit." You can practically feel the collective gasp of the dinosaur community. Picture it. The T-Rex, looks around, a bewildered expression plastered across his gigantic face, like he just realized he's wearing socks with flip-flops. "What's happening?" one raptor gasps. They would have looked absolutely adorable if it weren't for the dozen teeth and hungry stomachs involved. As the atmosphere grows tense, you witness the sheer drama of the moment. Animals scramble as if a dinosaur version of a reality show titled Survivor Cretaceous Edition is about to go into full swing. Add a comedic narrator saying, "It looks like they've unleashed the apocalypse. Let's see who swings into action and who ends up as lunch." The meteor strikes and boom! Everything erupts in chaos. Trees topple like they're on a bouncy castle gone wrong. Clouds of dust rise, like a misguided attempt at a disco ball, and the entire ecosystem shifts. A massive fire that could roast 1,000 marshmallows engulfs the land, while T-Rexes and hadrosaurs turn tail and run, as if they just spotted a particularly terrifying discount mannequin in a store. And in the midst of all this pandemonium, our scrappy little ancestors, the resilient mammals, begin awkwardly adjusting their strategy to survive. Imagine these small, furry creatures scrambling amidst what can only be described as a prehistoric rave gone awry. One could argue they simply sat at the back, shaking their heads, muttering, "You've got to be kidding me." They seriously thought they could outrun the universe? Reflect on this delightful irony. Just when the bigger dinosaurs thought they were the stars of the show, it turns out their melodrama was merely shocking audiences into realizing evolution had other plans. The Earth was coming of age, and our adorable, fur-covered ancestors were about to evolve in ways that would lead to, well, you. So, as the dust begins to settle and life persists in increasingly absurd forms, it's the ultimate cosmic punchline. Survival wasn't just for the biggest and the baddest, it was also for those slipping under the radar, quietly calculating their next move. As you drift into this swirling bedlam, take comfort, knowing that every extinction event is essentially just another chapter in a long, awkward family saga, one filled with scaly dinner dates, drama, and unexpected survivors. So, close your eyes and let the hilarity of evolution wash over you like a warm spring breeze sprinkled with just a hint of chaos. Because there's still more to unravel as our journey wades through the comedic depths of time. Chapter 6, Dawn of the Jurassic, Lizard Hips in Paradise. Hey guys, welcome back to the cozy hearth of mildly historical hilarity. This evening, we'll bask in the kind of biodiversity that might make a modern botanical garden look like a sad weed patch behind your neighbor's fence. Tonight, we're diving into the Jurassic period, that glorious epoch where enormous lizard hips roamed the earth with all the grace of a toddler on a sugar high. You know, it's a wild time when the foliage is thicker than your uncle's excuses for why he isn't coming to Thanksgiving dinner this year. So, why not dim those lights? Turn on that ambiance machine that sort of resembles a gentle breeze but mostly plays the sounds of rubber chickens squeaking. Get comfy, perhaps with a pillow or two, which, unlike a Jurassic forest, won't bite. Now, as you take a moment to think about dinosaurs, here's a question for you. Do you think a T-Rex ever felt insecure about its tiny arms? I could have been a game changer with some nice long limbs. Maybe he just wanted to swipe right on Bumble like the rest of us? Or how about this one? If you were a Stegosaurus trying to impress your crush, would you flash your dorsal plates or just awkwardly shuffle in circles like some prehistoric dad trying to dance at a wedding? Picture that a T-Rex in the middle of the forest, little arms flapping futilely at hesitant Stegosaurus feet, while all the other dinosaurs whisper, "Oh dear, what's he doing?" Well, congratulations! You've just woken up in the Jurassic period, about 150 million years ago, a world humming with the sounds of nature and the occasional belly growl from something ravenous nearby. Just imagine the aroma of damp soil, mixed with the fresh scent of all those giant ferns and cycads, enveloping you. There's a perfume niche you can't bottle. Oh, the prehistoric forest, with a hint of predator panic. As dawn breaks, shafts of sunlight pierce through the canopy like an enthusiastic photographer trying to sneak in good lighting for a selfie. The ferns spread their fronds, casting elegant shadows on the forest floor as if they were preparing for a riveting game of charades. Picture the gigantic cycads swaying gently, probably gossiping about the latest trending fashion, a full body armor of spikes, also known as the classic herbivore chic. Speaking of foliage, let's chat about your breakfast options. It's not a buffet of avocado toast, I assure you. More of a salad bar for oversized lizards, a smorgasbord of ferns, cycads, and whatever that unfortunate shrub over there is. There's something mesmerizing in the way the hadrosaurs, those charming duck-billed darlings of the dinosaur world, happily munch away, gossiping about the latest dino drama. Did you hear about Brontosaurus's new leaf diet? Apparently, he thinks he can be a model for Dino Vogue. And what's that noise? Ah, it's just a group of pterosaurs soaring overhead, definitely not discussing their latest airborne stunts or how they once dive-bombed a couple of unsuspecting fish. Their conversations must be like that one friend who keeps trying to convince you skydiving is totally easy and fun. Yeah, right. Imagine if they failed a dive and flopped unceremoniously like a featherweight boxer who did zero warm-ups. But let's not forget about the ever-intimidating T-Rex lingering nearby. His shadow moves through the trees, and you can hear him snorting, probably contemplating existential thoughts like, if I'm the king of the dinosaurs, why can't I reach the shelf for my favorite snack? If he had a diagnosis, it would be arm envy. Because honestly, how does one brag about being top predator when your arms are basically built for what? Fluffing your pillow? As the sunlight pours into this glorious Jurassic forest, you also become hyper-aware of the music surrounding you. A symphony of chirping, insects and rustling leaves, as if nature itself is orchestrating a grand ode to evolution. Sounds lovely, but hold on a second. Isn't that an ominous rumble in the distance? The ground trembles like it's just eaten a month-old burrito. Now, nearby, a group of sauropods with necks stretching high as if they're trying to sip from a giant tree's topmost branches start to sway. A young one, perhaps eager to impress, accidentally yanks down a hefty limb, sending leaves raining down like confetti at an illegitimate birthday party. The stegosaurus snorts, "Oh, sweet baby leaves. That's one way to clear a room." And just like a cliffhanger in your favorite series, a cloud gathers in the sky. Will it rain? Will it be a beautiful day? Or is it just the planet's way of trying to send a message? Perhaps the Jurassic version of a do not disturb sign flops down. Though luckily, it's not a massive asteroid shaped like a meteorite. Yet. Close your eyes and take a moment to appreciate this vibrant world. This tapestry pulsating with life and drama, thrill and humor. It's a place bursting with stories, where every moment might just end up being a delightful disaster. And remember, as our tale continues to unfurl like a giant prehistoric banner, you're not just a spectator. You're a part of this wildly chaotic narrative. So, lean back, let your imagination roam through this lizard-hip paradise, and prepare for the roller coaster ride of extinction, evolution, and comedy unfolding before you. Chapter 7: Sauropods and Shadow Giants, a Leafy Delight. Hey guys, welcome back to the prehistoric couch of mildly historical hilarity. Tonight we'll venture into the Jurassic landscape where giants roamed with necks longer than your awkward high school crush's diary entries. We're talking about sauropods, those colossal creatures that could snag foliage from treetops while casually avoiding the life choices of their T-Rex neighbors. You know, it's a thrilling time when the breadbasket of the planet is basically a salad buffet for the world's most oversized lizards. You half expect them to start their own vegan blog featuring leafy goodness. Before we get too deep into the Jurassic jungle, do me a favor, like and subscribe to the channel, but only if you actually enjoy this mildly bizarre journey. I mean, if you don't find humor in the epic struggle of a diplodocus trying to reach the last leaf on a tree while dodging the radical rumblings of a distant meteor, shower. Well, what are we even doing here? Now, I invite you to dim the lights, maybe flip off your phone for a bit. You don't need to know how many likes your cat video just got. Crank up a fan just for kicks and get cozy. Picture yourself sprawled out on a warm rock under a gentle breeze, maybe with a woolly mammoth blanket if you're feeling fancy. But I have to ask, have you ever wondered what it would be like to wake up as a 100-foot-long Brachiosaurus? Would you spend your mornings performing yoga to stretch those magnificent neck muscles, or just lumber along, scratching your bulk against the rough bark of a tree, wishing you could take a load off? Imagine trying to find pens in your size. Not a fun task. Or, better yet, instead of pens, would you opt for an oversized hat made of leaves, hoping it would become the next prehistoric fashion trend? Congratulations! You've just woken up in a Jurassic paradise, about 150 million years ago. The sun's rays fill the sky with a soft, golden hue, while the scent of damp earth and rich greenery wafts pleasantly in the air. As you blink away the grogginess, the first thing you notice is that the ground beneath you feels more alive than a hipster coffee shop on a Sunday morning. Soft, muddy, and a little bit squishy. Casting a glance upwards, there it is, a majestic sauropod, either a long-necked Brachiosaurus or a Diplodocus nature's answer to a tree-loving giant that doubles as a walking dining table. Its immense shadow falls over the forest floor, much like your old landlord's grumpiness, creeping into every conversation. You can almost hear the giant hum of contentment as this behemoth grazes peacefully on the high foliage, cherry-picking leaves like a teenager looking for the perfect avocado in a grocery store. As it munches away, you can't help but wonder, are these gentle giants ever afraid of the other dinosaurs lurking nearby? What could possibly scare a creature that towers above the treetops? Perhaps the only real fear is a bad hair day, considering how those necks must be awful at keeping foliage from getting tangled in the tresses. You can picture the scene, a Brachiosaurus staring in a pond, wondering why it looks like it could star in a Jurassic version of a reality show called Keeping Up with the Cretaceous. Now, as you drift deeper into this prehistoric scene, imagine the sounds: soft rustles of leaves, the serene humming of insects, and maybe the distant thud of a T-Rex taking a clumsy step. In comparison to the grandeur around you, those little predators must constantly be convinced they're living out a Shakespearean tragedy. To reach the leaf, or not to reach the leaf, seems like their daily existential dilemma. But don't let the tranquility fool you. These gentle giants are not without their challenges. How do you think they manage to stay hydrated? Imagine having a long neck and still having to bend down to drink water, like an awkward yoga pose you can't quite master. And oh, the embarrassment when a sudden gust of wind sends you careening off balance. Next thing you know, you're making a scene more dramatic than a romantic comedy. Splashdown Derby, the Sauropod Chronicles. And speaking of challenges, how do you think they keep their diet interesting? You can bet there's plenty of prehistoric chit-chat going on amongst the trees. Did you hear about 2 trees over? Their leaves are supposedly the best tasting in the forest. It's a competitive culinary world, so you can picture these giants glowing with pride as they pluck and chew their way into the leafy stratosphere, each branch a delicious trophy. But just when you start to lose yourself in admiration for these awe-inspiring creatures, ominous clouds form on the horizon. Is it just a lovely afternoon shower coming your way? Or is that the dramatic foreshadowing of an asteroid heading straight for your musty Jurassic world? Imagine, as a Brachiosaurus, sipping the last of your favorite leaves with a carefree smile and suddenly realizing you might be on the menu for extinction. As you settle into this lush greenery, take a moment to appreciate the life all around you. Every rustle, every shadow is both thrilling and a touch ridiculous. Remember, you're not merely a bystander in this chaotic prehistoric show. Instead, you're an integral part of the drama unfolding around you, a delightful witness to both beauty and impending doom, wrapped up in a world that is hilariously larger than life. Rest easy, my friend, and prepare for the next chapter of this whimsical ride through history, where every leaf, every shadow, and every clumsy stumble adds to the ever-expanding tale of the dinosaurs. Chapter 8: Feathered Hunters of the Lost World. Hey guys, welcome back to your nocturnal escapade through mildly historical shenanigans. Tonight, we're leaping into a time so ancient that even your grandma wouldn't dare to reminisce about it 252 million years ago, to be precise. Imagine a world where the grass was greener, the trees were taller, and times bigger. Times didn't even begin to describe, well, everything, really. We're diving into the jaw-dropping, feather-flapping era of theropods, the sprightly cousins of dinosaurs. And no, not the kind with down jackets. These guys could likely use some serious fashion advice, given that their outfits left them looking like over-caffeinated birds who couldn't quite control their excitement. Now, before we go sprinting off behind feathered velociraptors trying to get their dinner, do me a favor. Hit that like button and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy this delightful trip through time. I mean, if giggling at T-Rexes, tiny arms, and visualizing a raptor trying to open a doorknob isn't your cup of tea, then what are we even doing here? So, get cozy, let the world fade away, and imagine you're nestled in the cushy leaves of a prehistoric rainforest. Feel free to crank up the breeze on a fan so you can at least pretend you're not sweating like a T-Rex in a limbo competition. Picture a peaceful nap spot, or not so peaceful. Are you ready for the accidental whirlwind of adventure that'll leave you wondering if you should have just stayed in bed instead? Now, let's ponder this for a moment. Have you ever suspected that being a feathered theropod meant facing not just the elements, but also the chaotic intricacies of prehistoric life? What would they do in a high-stakes situation, like ordering dinner at a restaurant? You can picture a velociraptor with a menu squawking, "What do you mean you're out of the extra crunchy leaves?" Or imagine the struggles of a pack coordinating. Their next culinary crusade in a jungle so thick you'd need a GPS just to find your way back to the dinner table. Congratulations! You've just woken up approximately 75 million years ago in a lush, humid jungle brimming with life and potential disaster. Stay on guard because you definitely didn't settle into a cozy cave. No, you're right in the middle of dinner's preparation, surrounded by theropods darting around like animated popcorn kernels. From your vantage point, you can see a whole gang of feathered hunters flickering through the jungle like chaotic avian ninjas. Their beaks glint with intent, and their agile bodies weave through vines and branches like a group of hyperactive gymnasts performing an elaborate routine. They're applying for Team USA's Olympic tryouts in a world that, spoiler alert, won't be holding any. The air carries a symphony of sounds, rustling leaves, chirping insects, and the occasional disgruntled hiss of a competitor trying to snatch the best prey. Picture it. Pack mentality at work. These theropods aren't just dumb meat-seeking missiles. No, sir. They're strategizing like college roommates trying to outsmart the pizza delivery guy. You take the left. I'll distract the gliding pterosaurs, and Brenda, don't forget to charm the heck out of that unsuspecting iguana. Every subtle flick of their feathers conveys urgency, determination, and perhaps a hint of sheer ridiculousness, akin to squirrels on caffeine dashing towards the same nut. As you struggle to keep up with their athletic choreography, the rich, damp scents of the jungle engulf you. Earthy, a little ripe, and thoughtfully reminding you to steer clear of that puddle of murky water that's harboring what looks suspiciously like a future soup of microbial goop. It's the kind of olfactory onslaught that would make even the strongest stomach churn. S-E-E. Even the smallest splashes of natural beauty come complete with their own culinary selfie. You can practically read their thoughts. Look, Ma, we're hunting. Oh no, wait, was that an impending meteor I just spotted? The rich imagery explodes around you, each theropod, small or large, dashing through shadows with all the poise of a dance-off champion who just spotted the DJ packing up early for the night. And they're effective too. Watch as one clever raptor pivots with the elegance of a seasoned dancer, deftly snatching a critter unaware, like the friend who always manages to eat the last slice of pizza while you're busy contemplating the weight of the universe. Meanwhile, just a few feet away, another raptor miscalculates its trajectory, landing face first into a bush of bewilderment. Who knew that hide and seek could look so perilous? The struggle is real, as one curiously ambitious theropod tries to impress the spectators, puffing out plumes of feathers like a show-off at a school talent show. Is it effective? Well, let's just say that the audience of giant dragonflies could use a better taste in entertainment. You chuckle quietly to yourself, thankful for modern conveniences. Life as a feathered predator comes with one glaring caveat. Nothing is guaranteed. Your dreams of catching a Mesozoic 5-star meal could quickly turn into an awkward face-off against the grumpy Triceratops with a very bad day. One wrong move and dinner shifts into a decidedly unappetizing evening of dodgeball sessions with earth-shattering consequences. But isn't that just the rich tapestry of life itself? Echoes of laughter, camaraderie, and spontaneous calamity paint a beautiful picture of the past, reminding us that when it comes to survival or just trying to impress someone, one must sometimes resort to sheer guts, flappy wings, and an appreciation for the absurd. Rest easy, dear listener, as you sail into the next adventure in this span of mildly historical wonder, where every flutter of a feather, every tree whisper, and each surprise encounter spins the threads of a story worth telling, if not mildly hilarious. Chapter 9. The Great Hip Debate, Lizard Hips versus Bird Hips. Hey guys, welcome back to your soothing journey through the slightly absurd and thoroughly fascinating corners of history. Tonight, we're sliding into a discussion that's more ancient than your oldest relative's ramblings about the good old days, the age of dinosaurs, specifically focusing on the hip structures that made them the star athletes of the Mesozoic epoch. Now, If you think your hips are a topic of frequent discussion at family gatherings, wait until you dive into the lizard-hipped Saurischians and the bird-hipped Ornithischians. It's the kind of classification that would have any self-respecting dinosaur in stitches. Because really, who doesn't want to be remembered for the shape of their hips? Spoiler alert, it's basically the prehistoric version of picking your favorite celebrity based on their dance moves. Before we take an epic hip-hop or perhaps a hip-flop through time, listen closely. I mean, why are these dinosaurs' hips such a big deal? And if you had to choose, would you rather be a lizard-hipped brute or a bird-hipped beauty? Would you strut your stuff like a gentle giant or flap around in a raucous dino dance party? The choices are as riveting as the latest episode of a dragon soap opera. So, grab a comfy blanket, sip on a refreshing drink, preferably not swamp juice, and let's transport ourselves back in time. Congratulations! You've just woken up 75 million years ago, somewhere in a sprawling, buzzing world dominated by dinosaurs, with hips that could start debates grander than any family feud. Let's take a moment and visually savor our surroundings. Imagine the sun pouring in like a spotlight on dress like your dinosaur day, with towering cycads swaying as though they're sipping cocktails at the prehistoric beach. The air is warm, think hugs from sunshine and sweet-scented with the fragrant allure of fern. The occasional whoosh of wing signals to the soaring pterosaurs above, while a low rumble hints at nearby giants probably arguing over who gets to graze first on the best patch of leafy greens. A perfect day to witness a grand hip showdown, if ever there was one. What sets these two dino families apart? And did they ever argue at the local watering hole about who had the better moves? Let's break it down. First, we have the Saurischians, the heavyweights of the dino world. Picture them massive lizards lumbering around with all the grace of a hippo on roller skates, but with significantly better table manners when it comes to munching leaves. Now, imagine their hip joints like a child's stubborn Lego creation. The design? A flexible socket that would put your gym instructor's squats to shame. They were the T, Rexes and Velociraptors. Hip structures that blended strength and speed. It was like being built for the Dino Olympics. And indeed, some of them could probably outrun even your best friend when dessert is mentioned at dinner. Then we have the Ornithischians, home to a supportive community of hipsters, if you will. Their hips are more like the finely tuned mechanisms of a vintage watch, bird-hipped and jovial. While these dinosaurs across the fields were not performing ballet, we'll leave that to more evolved species, they were certainly strutting their stuff with great intent. Whether it was long-necked Brachiosaurus gazing upward for that juicy treetop salad, or ornately plated stegosaurs swaying their plates like they're at a dance-off, their hip structure allowed them stability and a solid foundation for those extravagant designs. It's like the difference between a dependable Honda and everything else. But let's pause for a comedic reflection. If you had to guess which group was better at the prehistoric version of the cha-cha, who would it be? The lumbering Saurischians, swaying side to side like a toddler attempting their first dance steps? Or the nimble Ornithischians, with hips sleek enough to shimmy through bracken like they were trying to win the Mesozoic's top model competition? As the vivid hypothetical dance battle unfolds before your mind's eye, the soft rustling of leaves reminds you that while the imagery is fantastic, the reality might have involved a bit more awkwardness and leg cramping. And it doesn't stop there. Imagine these dinosaurs gathering for social events. What were their conversations like? You can picture them swapping hip anecdotes during a midday break. So I was busy outrunning a Carnotaurus yesterday, and suddenly I thought, it's the hips that really make the chase. Another appears, scratching its head. Pfft, come on! My bird hips allow me to navigate through the brush like I'm auditioning for a role in a prehistoric thriller. Meanwhile, a triceratops, eavesdropping from the sidelines, rolls its eyes and mutters. Try getting through life without being mistaken for a trunk with feet, folks. Despite their amusing differences, it's the universal truths that make their tales resonate. Whether you're a Saurischian or an ornithischian, the worries remain the same. There was always a lurking predator somewhere, and an eternal quest for the tastiest leaves. Even if your mates get ill-tempered about your choice of grazing spot. As you drift deeper into the melodic whisper of the past, those two hip structures take their place in history not just as anatomical classifications, but as comical reminders that whether we're strutting or plodding, when it comes right down to it, we're all just trying to navigate through this thing called life without getting hit by a meteor or, worse yet, showing up to a party wearing last season's foliage. So, breathe in that mix of warm Mesozoic air and rich prehistoric drama, thankful that the world of giants came with a dose of charm, mixed with good old-fashioned silliness. Now, let's sway gently away from the hip discourse, allowing yourself to float on toward the next moment in this mildly historical adventure, where perhaps the dance floor is less fully booked and existence proves to be flavorfully absurd. Chapter 10, Plates and Hips, a defensive dinosaur's dance-off. Hey guys! Welcome back to another episode of mildly amusing history, where the past is more colorful than a dino's dayglow skills on an 80 seconds workout video. Tonight, we are frolicking into the wild world of dinosaurs, focusing on those incredible, hulking, bipedal beasts, the ornithischians, who brought style and swagger to the Cretaceous period, all while holding the best party never thrown. Imagine stepping into a prehistoric barn dance, complete with armored plates and resplendent horns, like they just left their favorite spa. That's right, we're talking about armored stars like Triceratops and Stegosaurus. Bumping shoulder with their paws, you can almost hear the rustle of leaves as they draw strength from their mixed herd. Ever wonder what they would discuss over leafy greens? Dude, it's all about the angles with these horns. Have you seen how they just scream, "Don't mess with me"? And if you happen to be caught sipping a refreshing swamp smoothie nearby, they might even debate the merits of balance. Who'd make the best dance partner during a mild-mannered predator scare? As you settle down, dim the lights, and maybe switch on a fan for that perfect prehistoric breeze. You know, if you had a fan back then? Let's gently nestle into some bizarre questions. Have you ever wondered if dinosaurs had imaginary friend drama? How did a Stegosaurus apologize after a heated tail dispute? And do you think they ever had to practice their dance moves to avoid too much interspecies awkwardness? Spoiler alert, none of them were smooth like a glowworm disco. Congratulations. You've just woken up in a vibrant Cretaceous landscape, brimming with oversized ferns and towering conifers. The sun is shining, and there's an ice cream truck. Oh wait, it's just a pterosaurus gliding overhead, trying desperately to catch the breeze. The mixed herd moves gracefully through the lush landscape, comfortably teeming with ornithischians, the true hipsters of this ancient era. As you soak in the scenery, take a moment to appreciate the delicious, vibrant scrumptiousness of greens that are definitely bigger than any salad you've ever encountered. Entrees could include fresh leaves for dinner and a side of shredded twigs, with a main course of whoever can fit more in your mouth, of course. Now, as the sun casts a golden hue over our metaphorical dino dance floor, let's focus in on our massive, plate-adorned friends, standing guard. Picture a Triceratops, its sweet horns gleaming more brightly than your old high school trophies, the ones you claimed were just for decoration. With a body that's built like your friend Dave, after a 2-month binge of smoothies and kale, it stands proudly amidst its companions. The air is alive with the clattering of armor plates, a soothing sort of metallic symphony that would win any percussion solo competition. As the herd grazes peacefully, can you feel the tension of a lurking predator nearby? Let's say our friend T-Rex is practicing its best terrifying roar, followed by the lazy flop of "oops, almost tripped over my own feet while trying to impress." Everyone loves a dramatic entrance, but maybe the T-Rex should have considered a plane ticket instead. Imagine the exchanged glances amongst the ornithischians. "Is that a faint rustle I hear?" one might ask in a melodious whisper, spiking the intrigue. Nearby foliage suddenly rustles, potentially revealing the source of those curious sounds. Cue a low growl. Now, our armored hero, stubbornly fixated on munching leaves, decides to step up, ready to ward off that predator with a strong display of horns and hefty plates, all while giving the star of the Dancing with the Dinosaurs competition a run for its money. And there you are, in the front row, witnessing an epic showdown of titans unfolding before your very eyes. Just try not to spill that refreshing swamp smoothie, will you? That's the real tragedy here. But back to our dino friend. Standing with the bravado of a seasoned stalwart, the Triceratops attempts to summon its inner superstar, striking a pose with its magnificent frill catching the light truly. A dino ready for a red carpet. This is the moment she and you have been waiting for. Every potential predator knows that those horns are not merely for show. They're more powerful than 1,000 awkward dates and should ideally be avoided at all costs. Suddenly, the predator bolts from the underbrush as though auditioning for a role in a Jurassic Park sequel that surely should never be made. But does our hero quiver in fear? No! The Triceratops stands proud, like a defensive Rocky Balboa facing Apollo Creed, only instead of boxing gloves, it has majestic spikes, ready to deliver a message loud and clear. Back off, buddy! Dueling sounds echo across the field as the strength of these prehistoric giants pulsates with every step, harnessing their chaotic dance in a rhythm only understood by the most ancient trees and humored rocks nearby. Meanwhile, you find yourself snickering at the notion. Wouldn't a T-Rex look ridiculous trying to tango with a sauropod? This hypothetical showdown isn't just a display of brawn and dazzling plated beauty. It dances on the edge of evolutionary survival, a reminder that the greatest strength comes in many forms. As our continued laughter trickles away, let yourself float back into the comforting embrace of the lush Cretaceous warmth, grateful for the resilience and absurdity found even amongst the gigantic herbivores prepared to defend their leafy realms. So, let's settle back and join in on the prehistoric fun as we drift softly into the next tale, appreciating the flabby, larger-than-life existence of dinosaurs, truly the ultimate party guests. Because between the armored plates, the spiky threads, and unpredictable predators, it turns out living your best life as a dinosaur comes with more giggles and countless unexpected twists than you might ever guess. Chapter 11. From lizard hips to mighty giants, a dinosaur's family reunion. Hey guys! Welcome back to another hilariously enlightening episode of mildly amusing history, where we tumble down a timeline that's wackier than a butterfly on roller skates stuck in a windstorm. Tonight, we're diving into a world more chaotic than your last Thanksgiving dinner. It's the golden age of dinosaurs. It's a tale of unfathomable lizards with hips that could win a Guinness World Record in width and length, thriving in a land where the only thing bigger than their appetites was their eventual extinction. But before we explore the prehistoric party, why not take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe, or whisper sweet nothings in the comment section, only if you're truly enjoying this, of course. No pressure, we promise not to unleash a curious T-Rex on you, or worse, a really persistent telemarketer. Now kick back, dim those lights, and perhaps crank up a fan to provide that delightful, soothing breeze over your beautifully sophisticated human head. Feel the tension in your shoulders ease as you picture yourself nestled comfortably in a massive ferns-laden patch, a long-lost cozy corner of the Cretaceous period. Have you ever wondered if dinosaurs snort? How did they fit those massive bodies into their tiny dinosaur beds? Were they worried about finding a good wig specialist for those impressive crests? And most importantly, did they ever stop to question if that really was a meteor coming their way or just a very large and confused pterodon? Congratulations! You've just woken up about 150 million years ago, smack dab in the middle of the Mesozoic era. The air is thick with the scent of ferns and the strange sound of what might be a hungry Allosaurus rehearsing its next audience-stealing monologue. As you peer around, large shadows move across the landscape. And you might be tempted to think it's just an unusually large flock of pigeons. But fear not, for here, in this dino-filled dreamscape, they are anything but ordinary. Let's talk about our ancient neighbors, the dinosaurs. Picture a branching family tree so vast it would make your own family reunions seem like a quiet tea party. Now imagine that tree expanding at an alarming rate, bursting forth like that bag of marshmallows you forgot in the back of the cupboard since last Christmas. From gentle giants like Brachiosaurus to the menacing claws of the Velociraptor, the sheer diversity of dinosaurs is enough to make even the most chaotic Thanksgiving dinner seem utterly banal. You stand back and marvel at this grand display of evolutionary achievement dinosaurs, with necks that seem to reach the clouds and tails longer than your Aunt Carol's spiral ham. You and I both know that she thought she was the star of the party. But we now have an entire species of lumbering behemoths taking center stage. I mean, if there was ever a Best Family Resemblance award, it would go to the sauropods, right? With those long necks, they could practically reach for seconds at the far end of the buffet without spilling a drop of sauce. But let's not forget the more agile and sprightly members of this family tree. The theropods, the nimble acrobats of the dino world, specialize in stretching their limbs, a bit like your cousin Bob after he gets the barbecue ribs on his plate, trying to reach his drink without standing up, claiming, "I'm attempting to conserve energy for the dance floor." You know the type. Now, as suburban family drama goes, hypothesize whether there were squabbles at this dino reunion. "Why can't you stay in your lane, Allosaurus? That corner of the jungle is mine." Can you imagine the eye rolls when a Stegosaurus tries to tell a Velociraptor to lighten up? Yeah, because the last thing you want at a family gathering is a debacle on who should get the best ferns. Picture a crew of herbivores coordinately munching on leaves, when, out of nowhere, a T-Rex arrives, thinking it's time for some kickboxing. Sorry, I meant dino dancing. The crowd parts, not because of fear, but because instances like this are known as entertainment. A hefty roar resonates through the primal party, followed by some oddly awkward rhythmic stomping that makes you wish for a modern soundtrack. But hey, it's all about that family spirit, right? As our mental kaleidoscope of dinosaurs spins wildly, let's not forget the geological context. The Earth was an ever-shifting puzzle of land and water, with continents doing their own cha-cha. The environmental conditions, warm and humid, with no hint of your favorite local coffee shop, allowed dinosaurs to reign supreme for millions of years. The world was their stage, and much like a well-planned potluck, they made it work, adapting to every available niche, like the culinary creativity you'd find trying to cross leftover lasagna with fried chicken. Of course, this dino dazzle couldn't last forever. Fast forward, and amid the hustle and bustle of evolution, catastrophe lurks on the horizon, like that one uncle who shows up with unsolicited life advice. So take a slow, deep breath, envision the ground shaking under your dinosaur feet, and brace yourself as both good times and dramatic endings swirl around in the evolutionary drama that shapes the world as we know it. After all, even the mightiest of giants must eventually face a hard truth, also known as the global catastrophe, waiting just around the corner. A true case of family reunions when fun meets extinction. So grab your metaphorical popcorn and settle in. This wild tale is just warming up, and we're about to uncover what comes next in the ever absurd adventure of dinosaurs before they became history. Chapter 12. The swamps don't think you're suffering enough. Hey guys, welcome back to Mildly Amusing History, where we plunge deeper into the Cretaceous period, an era with more scheming plans than a Hollywood reality show. Tonight, we're soaking in a primordial swamp scene that would make your favorite spa look like a rusty oil rig. Picture this: humid air, so thick it practically gives you a hug. Massive flowering plants flaunting their colors like they've just arrived at a debutante ball, and early hardwood trees standing tall, all lined up, ready to be the backdrop for the biggest game of hide and seek that Earth has ever known. Now, before you channel your inner dinosaur admirer and get too excited, why not take a moment to hit that like button, subscribe, or maybe take a moment to write your future self a postcard. Only if you're truly enjoying this sleepy trek into bygone eras, of course. No pressure, we won't send a T-Rex to convince you. Or worse, a really enthusiastic telemarketer. So dim those lights, find a cozy corner, and perhaps crank up a fan to mimic that lovely Cretaceous breeze brushing your cheek. Feel the tension float away as you imagine lounging among the swamp's massive ferns. Ever wonder if dinosaurs were the original oversharers on social media? Did they insist on posting every meal they munched? Or maybe they just grunted out their thoughts with way less finesse than a Swiftie at a concert? Were they wearing the latest floral arrangements on their backs like those Instagram influencers? Most importantly, did they ever think, a meteor might be coming, but have you seen my new fern garden? Congratulations! You've just woken up 100 million years ago, right in the middle of a humid, bubbling Cretaceous swamp. The air is heavy with scents you can only describe as decaying leaves and a hint of marshy adventure. As you blink away the ancient pollen, shadows flit across the landscape. And no, it's not just a really confused flock of oversized ducks, it's dino lottery winners migrating in style. Welcome to a world where the fauna is colossal and the flora is magnificent. A vibrant tapestry of life that looks like Mother Nature had a caffeinated artist daydreaming about colors. Here, towering cycads sway gently, while enormous ferns stretch upwards, resembling oversized green umbrellas left behind by careless giants. The swamp is alive, seething with creatures. You might feel like you've stepped onto a Hollywood set, albeit one run by actors who forgot how to act for the last 10 million years. Let's take a moment to discuss the local resident stars, the plants. You can practically hear the dramatic whispers among the trees as they gossip about the furry critters munching on their leaves. Can you believe the arrogance of that velociraptor? One tree might say. I mean, what's next? trying to start a podcast to discuss his opinions on ferns. And sure enough, the trees might roll their trunks in disbelief. After all, no one does raw foliage quite like a dino. The swamp itself, though, is not just a pretty face. The temperature hugs you like an old fleece blanket. Only half of it is wet and bringing a distinct "you smell like old leaves" vibe. If humidity could take form, it would probably be the over-enthusiastic relative who constantly insists you go on a family road trip with them. Feel that sticky warmth wrapping around you like synthetic polyester in a reality show challenge? Yeah, swamps don't do cool breezes. They do warm embraces of survival. Walking deeper into this swampy maze, you might hear a distant grunt, perhaps a nod to the great Brachiosaurus, lolling about as it reaches for some lunch. Can you picture that long neck, delicately maneuvering like it's trying to find the perfect selfie angle? Or there's the inimitable Triceratops, thorough in its herbaceous quests. It might look like it's modeling for a vegan. Cookbook munching away while you debate if the only two plants still alive in your apartment are truly thriving or just surviving on sheer willpower. But let's not forget our slippery friends, the amphibians. Toads the size of your coffee table, and maybe, just maybe, a brachiosaur-sized mosquito buzzing around like it's auditioning for the role of annoyingly large pest. Every splash tells a tale, every ripple a mystery. Has any herbivore threatened their swampy turf? That's my lily pad, buddy. They could potentially croak out with a dramatic flair. Speaking of threats, don't start thinking this swamp is all fun and games. Each day is an exercise in dino dodging. Imagine chatting with your cozy fern buddy as a stegosaurus stomps by, slightly oblivious, but still, it could turn your chatty Cathy life into a sticky end. Nature possesses craftiness, like that one friend who always knows exactly how to stir the pot. But just as the ambiance reaches peak chill, you suddenly recall cozying up with a mythic conversation about extinction. Spoiler alert, it's coming! Revelry-filled swamps won't last forever. Fast forward through a montage of colorful leaves falling, dinosaurs grumbling in discontent, and the earth starting to vibrate with a feeling akin to a suspenseful cliffhanger. Were they naive? Or just waiting for the inevitable plot twist of their own extinction? So sit back among the great ferns, savor that swampy freshness, and brace yourself, because this tale of epic proportions is just about to kick into high gear. Stay tuned for the greatness of extinction, when nature turns chaotic and everything gets a much colder welcome than expected. In the thrilling drama of this Cretaceous saga, remember, extinction is just evolution's way of saying surprise with a strike. Chapter 13. The mighty roar beneath the starry sky. Hey guys! Welcome back to Mildly Amusing History, where we glide right into the golden age of dinosaurs, an era filled with more drama and mud than a soap opera during a storm. This evening, get ready for something mightier than your last attempt at karaoke, and more chaotic than a toddler covered in chocolate at a birthday party. The age of the ferocious T. Rex, our favorite scaly celebrity. Now, before you channel your inner dino enthusiast and start juggling rubber dinosaurs, let's hit that like button, subscribe for more mildly amusing bedtime history, and maybe consider leaving a comment, possibly about how you once attempted to teach a cactus to dance. No? Just me? Then? But only do it if you're actually enjoying this, of course. We wouldn't want to send out a velociraptor with a telemarketing script. So dim those lights, find a comfy spot, and perhaps turn on a gentle fan to mimic a non-Jurassic breeze whispering. Secrets through the trees. breathe in that supposedly fresh air. Do you think dinosaurs experience the same anxiety over their diet and body image as humans do? Did they look at their reflection in the swamp and think, am I more of a T-Rex or a Triceratops today? Spoiler alert, a catastrophic asteroid will soon roll in and ruin their day. Who knew planetary threats could trigger a midlife crisis? Congratulations! You've just woken up around 66 million years ago, right under the Cretaceous sun, just as the Grand T, Rex, with its oversized skull that could host a modest family of raccoons, roams fiercely through the open scrubland. Imagine that glorious moment. You, in a dusty paradise, bathed in the glow of a sky so blue it's currently trending on Dinosaur Instagram. Everything smells a little pungent, a mix of hot earth and dino sweat. Honestly, think twice before reaching for that fern salad. Now, let's talk about the T-Rex. You might picture it as a giant, scaly celebrity strutting down the prehistoric runway, roaring fiercely into the open air. It's like the dinosaur version of Kanye West. If Kanye were about 40 feet long, had a bunch of rather ineffective arms, and feasted on the world's largest turkeys, a real apex predator you wouldn't want to encounter on a Tuesday afternoon, or really any day. With the impressive jaws of this beast resembling a steel trap designed for mighty meats, you're probably wondering, what kind of human-like problems did this predator have? Imagine living life with the constant fear of not finding the best takeout right after you totally ripped off your last meal ticket. Did T-Rex ever glance at its reflection in a placid swamp and think, wow, do I really need to work on my sunburn? But no gentle kitchen escapades here. Instead, picture our T-Rex stomping through the terrain, its massive feet thudding heavily like an over-enthusiastic uncle at a family reunion. Dust clouds billow into the air, and every flap of nearby ferns sounds like a cacophony of complaints about a recent drought. The sweet sounds of nature are suddenly interrupted by a raucous, echoed roar, possibly your average T-Rex lament over a peanut butter sandwich. And let's not forget about the underappreciated lizard hips of yesteryears. With a striking tail capable of mowing down anyone foolish enough to stand close, our Dinosaur is the original king of multitasking. Did you ever find it strange how other dinosaurs, like the slightly safer herbivores, would take their evening strolls right under the nose of this behemoth? Oh, danger? Not a problem. Worst that could happen is a dinner invitation. To set the scene even more vividly, think of the glorious, unkempt mess that was Cretaceous ground level. Think of the aromas wafting from the swampy sections nearby. Like a farmer's market gone terribly wrong, the din of snapping jaws and rustling leaves fills your ears, coupled with the sound of nearby predators plotting their next step. Maybe tonight we share a fern before unleashing the ferocity of our mighty jaws? The T-Rex off in the distance suddenly goes quiet, as if it recognizes the need for a dramatic pause, momentarily pondering its own existence. What's for dinner, you ask? Well, how about a delightful Stegosaurus steak to spice things up? Or perhaps today is just another boring grind where inspiration has abandoned our dino. You know what? I think I'll just snack on some fallen ferns instead, because being a dinosaur is totally free of existential dread, right? As the scene unfolds, you can practically see the T-Rex standing majestically against the backdrop of a setting sun, its eyes glimmering. Yes, you might hear it think, I am the most feared creature of my time, capable of rendering even the bravest dinosaurs into mere snacks. Between posturing like a proud feline, it raises its head and lets out a bellow so loud that the very ground beneath your feet shakes. It's less of a stay away and more of a casual, "Can someone please pass the sweet potatoes?" But all of this sets just the right stage for the coming catastrophe. All fridges must eventually close and the delightful chaos will soon tumble. As our T-Rex savors its last moments of supreme raptorness, the sky will darken, history will shift, and a perfect storm of calamity will take center stage, ushering in an Extinction twist plot. Even the best Netflix series couldn't script. So sit back and enjoy the raw, comical chaos of the T, Rex's dominion over the late Cretaceous. Stay tuned as we explore the ebb and flow of extinction, the glorious heights and shocking downfalls in the wild world of dinosaurs, where hilarity and catastrophe collide with every stomp. After all, in this vibrant chapter of life, sometimes survival is just one dino-sized roar away. Chapter 14. Mammals on the Run. Ah, the late Cretaceous period. Imagine it as a giant prehistoric party where everyone struts their stuff except half the guests have scales and the other half are very tiny mammals trying to avoid getting stepped on. You've just opened your eyes to a panorama that could best be described as a vast, sprawling scene full of ferns and gigantic footprints. Right before your eyes, massive dinosaurs roam. They're like the bouncers of this wild club called Earth. But what's that? Scurrying beneath these colossal feet, smaller mammals dart in and out of the underbrush like they're playing an elaborate game of hide and seek. And trust me, it is always the T-Rex. Picture this. You're in a world where being small and nocturnal is a fancy badge of honor. What do you think these wee critters ponder daily? Should I try to mingle with the herbivores, or do I just stick to the shadows and pray nobody mistakes me for a snack? Ever wondered what kind of dating advice a possum might give? Always be cautious, dive for cover when the big guy's approaching. Let's face it, modern dating's already got enough pressure. Imagine trying to find love when your pickup line is literally, "Do I look like a dino snack?" Not only do you have to navigate through ferns taller than your best friend's ego, but there's also the delightful aroma of dino flatulence wafting about, adding a certain times, je ne sais quoi times, to your evening stroll. Imagine telling a friend, "So, I went for a walk today and nearly got squashed by a dinosaur's rear end. Hope you had a good day at the office." Underneath the shadows of T-Rex and its contemporaries, you're stepping through a botanical wonderland. One that smells like a strange stew of blooming cycads and, well, dinosaur dung. It's all part of the lush Cretaceous decor. You'd think they had an interior designer specializing in time's earthy chaos asterisk. But let's be real. If you thought your parents' collection of ceramic frogs was a bit much, they just didn't have the scope of this world. So, what do these tiny mammals get up to when it's not a full-on T-Rex stampede? They're basically the OG couch potatoes, except their couch is more like a cozy underbrush stage, and their TV is the terrifying reality of staying alive. Definitely binge-worthy, right? You'd catch them nursing their miniature hangovers after a carnival of late-night insect feasts, only to awake the next day, startled and windblown like you after a long night out with questionable life choices. Oh, let's talk about their fashion choices for a moment. Ever tried finding the right outfit in a dark closet? Now, imagine if that closet is inhabited by large prehistoric beasts. These little mammals have a sleek style vibe. Textured furs that blend into the underbrush like they're living in an ancient Gucci line. Simple yet effective. Especially when camouflage can be the difference between a cozy sunset and becoming dinner. And you thought today's work from home outfits were a bit too relaxed. You might even spot some of them attempting to climb trees, but their efforts are often sabotaged by their own clumsiness. Imagine a squirrel wearing oversized shoes, arms flailing, tumbling down with dramatic flair. It's like watching someone attempt yoga for the first time. Only here, your mat is a branch and the stakes are an escaped velociraptor preparing for a not-so-fun dinner. Now, while you're mentally rooting for the little mammals, the real stars of the show are cruising the earth like they own the place. On one side, you have the glorious Triceratops, with 3 impressive horns and a face that screams, "I'm overqualified for this job!" Then there's the Iguanodon, equipped with a thumb spike that's basically the prehistoric equivalent of wearing an elegant hat. Oh darling, this little thing, it's just a fancier version of my times. Finger pointing times at you. And, of course, lurking in the forgotten corners are the little mammals, spinning their wheels in social circles and saying, "Can you imagine a world without dinos?" They eat insects and nuts, perhaps debating if a fern salad could become a trendy dish at next year's Cretaceous Gala. Spoiler alert, it never does, primarily because they are busy dodging meat eaters. As the eternal summer sun begins to dip, shadows lengthen across the bustling landscape. The T-Rex lets out a mighty roar. Imagine a giant cat suddenly discovering it's all out of tuna. The small mammals freeze mid-scamper, holding their breath, hoping against hope that their luck doesn't run out. You can practically hear the thoughts racing in their tiny heads. Just another wild Tuesday in the life of an adorable, furry creature, evading disaster and embracing my nocturnal legacy. And as the echoes of thunderous footsteps fade into the distance, they might just start wondering if today is the day they finally get brave enough to venture out for a social event. I mean, it's either that or stay stuck in this underbrush, contemplating whether life is better as part of the fern backdrop. So close your eyes and imagine these hilarious little creatures going about their not so glamorous lives, dodging dino feet while engaging in a constant search for snacks and social acceptance. In the age of dinosaurs, when your biggest problem might just be if you accidentally bumped into a raptor that got out of bed on the wrong side, remember, hilarity is just a T-Rex roar away. Stay tuned, dear dreamers, as the dino escapades unfold like a juicy fern surprise. Chapter 15, Rivers of Lava and the Dreaded Basement Challenge. Hey there, sleepyhead, ready for an adventure more heated than last summer's barbecue? Tonight, we're diving into the explosive excitement of the Deccan Traps, where rivers of molten lava once flowed like an overflowing fondue pot. You can almost hear the earth say, "Hold on to your prehistoric heads, it's about to get steamy." Now, before we get cooking, let me encourage you to dim the lights, cozy up like a sleepy dino in a cot made of ferns, and let's set our imaginations on fire, figuratively of course. Seriously though, what would you do if your quaint home started bubbling up lava? Would you scream, "Grab your marshmallows," or throw a lava party to avoid imminent doom? Or would you just stick to complaining about your basement flooding, thinking, why can't they invent some kind of lava-proof shield already? Tonight's journey takes us back around 66 million years, about 10 million years after our little friends, the dinosaurs, decided to strut their stuff on this blue-green planet. You've just woken up in ancient India, not the bustling streets of modern New Delhi, but rather a soundscape filled with the distant rumbles of geological fireworks. Picture this. The sky is a kaleidoscope of oranges and reds, with the ground beneath you bubbling and churning like a giant pot of soup left unattended over an open flame. Let's talk about the Deccan Traps, those fiery behemoths that used to grace the Indian landscape. Imagine volcanic eruptions that could rival your uncle's karaoke nights, belching and spewing rivers of incandescent lava covering vast plains with layers of basalt rock. Yes, basalt rock, nature's answer to the most uncomfortable floor tiles you can imagine. You'd wake up every morning squeezing your eyes shut and thinking, did I really sign up for this whole being engulfed in lava thing? Trust me, nothing says good morning, like the smell of scorched vegetation and the faint sound of rock cracking from the heat. Mornings would have you thinking, should I grab a scone or just some lava-proof boots? As you navigate your new fiery abode, you quickly realize that there's no such thing as a peaceful stroll. The ground shifts beneath you like a bad dance move gone wrong. 1 minute you're taking a leisurely stroll, the next, you've slipped into a natural hot tub, courtesy of Mother Earth. And trust me, when the landscape is one big heated mess, navigating daily life must have been a chore. Rivers of red-hot lava would flow like frenzied party guests, spilling across the land and turning everything into a towering pile of smoldering rock, kind of like your last attempt at a DIY project. Remember those Pinterest fails? Yeah, those are going to feel like child's play when your entire yard is just molten. Now, I hope you brought extra socks, because you're going to need them. What do you do when lava is flowing everywhere? Building a dam? Good luck! It's like telling a toddler not to get into the candy jar. The lava's going to win every time, leaving you to cry. Why do my best ideas always involve volcanic catastrophes? Picture the cacophony. Rocks crumbling, lava hissing, and maybe even the distant growl of our dino buddies wondering if this is just the latest version of the floor is lava game. Nothing says potential extinction quite like being surrounded by nature's fiery wrath while dodging your favorite non-avian dinosaurs and their whims. Oh, sure, T-Rex, you can have my ferns, just don't roast me while I scramble for cover. And good luck trying to impress a date when the local dining spots are constantly being reshaped by eruptions. So, what's your favorite restaurant? Well, I was thinking of that lovely lava buffet down the road. Not quite Byron and a dinner date, huh? Dining options would mostly include charbroiled anything, perhaps served with a side of, are we still going to die today? As nature continued its volcanic antics, you might have wondered how long it takes for the smoke to clear. Would the subterranean drama ever end? Would you be left with nothing but a charred landscape, trying to avoid an awkward conversation with a dinosaur about who ruined dinner? At some point, you'd likely have accepted that this fiery reality was just another Tuesday in the Deccan. And there's more. Quite aside from the landscape challenges, every morning could feel like waking up in an over-the-top disaster movie. Brought deodorant? Great, you'll need it, because the sweat from dodging molten rock is a lot. It would make you long for those days in comfy, climate-controlled homes where the worst thing you had to deal with was your cat ignoring you. As this volcanic background slowly fades, you might wonder how these ancient geological antics contributed to an end so dramatic. It would make the tail end of a dinosaur flick look tame. Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. But tonight, rest easy knowing you haven't turned to stone, melted away, or ended up as a giant hunk of basalt yourself at least, not yet. So slip into those dreamlands and let the slightly heated tale of geological absurdity wash over you like an ancient, gooey lava flow. Chapter 16. A sky full of troubles and the rain of regret. Hey guys, ready for a nightcap that's darker than that one time you mistook a donut for a bagel? Tonight, we're diving deep into a cosmic disaster that makes your last Zoom meeting feel like a spa day. Imagine a sky so ominous, it could star as the lead in the latest horror flick about atmospheric conditions gone wildly rogue. Now, before we embark on this wild journey, why don't you dim those lights, put on your coziest blanket, and prepare to explore a world filled with more chaos than a group chat gone off the rails? Seriously, how would you like to deal with a weather forecast that reads, "Today, 100% chance of sulking skies and acid rain"? A raincoat might be an understatement. You'd be better off wearing a full-body hard-shell suit as if you were heading into a storm of pickles. Picture this. You wake up one foggy morning, not in 2023, but about 252 million years ago. Congratulations! You've time traveled to the late Permian period, where everything is going splendidly, except for the fact that Mother Nature seems to be in a particularly grumpy mood. The sun, usually a reliable source of warmth and vitamin D, now finds itself trapped behind layers of sulfur dioxide and volcanic ash. It's like the world's worst blackout party, and no one brought the good snacks. As dawn breaks, even though dawn might be a stretch when the sky looks more like the aftermath of a serious burrito bowl incident, you stumble out into a landscape that feels like a toxic soup. The air doesn't just smell bad, it sounds like that awkward silence in an elevator full of strangers. Only instead of strangers, you have dinosaurs. And they don't care for your social niceties at all. Let's talk about the delightful ambience. The ground beneath you is hot and gritty, crunching suspiciously like your favorite childhood snack, which sadly wasn't made for consumption. In fact, it's just ash and debris from the latest volcanic temper tantrum. What's that in the air? Oh, yes, it's the faint scent of charred ferns, mixed with acoustic echoes of distant thunder. Nothing says good morning like the constant reminder that your entire ecosystem is spiraling into chaos. And let me be clear, every step outside could lead to an unpleasant surprise. As you dodge flying debris and shudder at the thought of acid rain, you can't help but wonder, why didn't I just sleep in today? It's one of those rare mornings where deciding to hit snooze makes total sense. But alas, here we are, alive and kicking at least, until the acidic drizzle kicks in. But wait, have you heard the news? Inconsistently falling from the sky now, along with your hopes of a pleasant day, is a sprinkling of acid rain that rolls in like a cranky relative after the holidays. Imagine trying to dodge that. You've got lizard hips skittering around you, oblivious to the fact that the atmosphere is more hostile than your neighbor's cat. Excuse me while I just fashion this frying pan into a makeshift umbrella, because really, who wouldn't want dinner to fall from the sky? As you weave between trees that appear more distressed than you are like your last relationship, you ponder your choices. Is it too late to join an underground dino club? The only membership requirement is bolting the moment a volcanic eruption starts. And speaking of eruptions, those Deccan traps are not done with their melodrama yet. It's like a cosmic sitcom where nobody remembers their lines and the volcanic actors are desperate for attention. Picture yourself stumbling through forests, which may or may not include pterosaurs squawking just as you're about to enjoy a peaceful moment. At this rate, I'll be known as the most dampened dinosaur in history, you think? As a particularly rude bit of ash lands squarely on your snout. You try to brush it off, but between the heat, the moisture, and the looming threat of global catastrophe, you quickly realize that it's not worth the effort. In fact, survival tips of the day include: always look up for pterosaur droppings, remember about acid rain, 2 for 1, and pray the ground stays level. Honestly, a regular day in this time period feels more chaotic than a surprise family reunion with far too many confusing relationships. I thought Aunt Lydia was my grandparents' sister, not a distant cousin's pet iguana. Wait, why do I even care? As clouds gather, you might laugh nervously at thoughts of how you'll explain this to future generations. Yeah, didn't I mention the time the sky literally tried to eat me? Good times. Your daydream, or rather nightmare, continues to unfold as the dim light reminds you that the world outside could be one stray lizard hip away from total meltdown. Yet, you're still here, navigating, or should we say tiptoeing, through a world that feels like one big cosmic joke. Who ever thought waking up to an acid rain forecast would be on your bucket list? Now, as you close your eyes and ponder this remarkable absurdity, know that you've survived yet another act in the great comedic drama of prehistory, albeit with a side of existential dread and a good dose of hilarity. So drift along, dear Voyager, as you await what unfolds next in this volcanic comedy of errors turned history. Trust me, it'll only get weirder from here. Chapter 17. A fiery farewell from the skies. Hey guys, welcome back to the Cosmic Comedy Club of Prehistoric Life, where the punchlines sometimes come with a side of catastrophe. Tonight, we're diving into a headline act so epic it could literally light up the sky and then obliterate it. That's right, we're talking about an asteroid so massive and ominous it could have easily had its own dramatic entrance music, preferably composed by the Grim Reaper himself. Now, as we prepare for this wild journey through time, let's set the stage, shall we? Picture yourself staring at the evening sky, mesmerized by the twinkling stars, as you ponder existential questions like, why did I order extra hot sauce on my burrito? Or, is there life outside of my Wi-Fi connection? The answers may elude you, but trust me, those questions are nothing compared to the existential crisis we're about to witness. Let's really sink in those cosmic vibes, shall we? Imagine the peace of a starry night. Then, suddenly, bam! From out of nowhere, it's raining doom. Did someone order a meteoric meltdown? No, just me? Okay, but seriously, how do you prep for a sky-chomping asteroid with a knack for mischief? I mean, does it come with a warning label? Warning may cause apocalypse and severe mood swings. So, let's settle in, dim those lights, and get comfy. As dreamy clouds drift in, you can almost imagine the ancient creatures below, blissfully unaware of their impending doom, wondering why lunch has suddenly gotten an extra side of destruction. You know, little things like, would the asteroid bring hors d'oeuvres, or is that just the general atmosphere burning down? Congratulations, you've just woken up about 66 million years ago. The date? Oh, just another ordinary day in the late Cretaceous period, where the dinosaurs are ruling the roost and the air smells like a greasy barbecue with a hint of green foliage. But all is not well in Dino Land, dear friend. Something's brewing, and it's way worse than last week's leftovers. Let's describe the scene, shall we? You stretch and shake off the sleep from your dino-sized limbs as you spot a massive asteroid hurling its way toward Earth, traveling thousands of miles per hour, leaving a fiery, glowing trail like a skydiver with no parachute. Honestly, it's a bit overwhelming. If this were a sitcom, the laugh track would be in hysterics while you're frantically waving your hands about. Imagine you are a velociraptor in prime time for hunting, and yet what's that up in the sky? A fiery streak brighter than the sun during your morning coffee run. Hey guys, did you order the BBQ on a cosmic scale? Because I smell catastrophe. As you stand there, Jules Agape, you can practically hear the ancient version of the community water cooler chatter. Did you see that light? Is it a star? Is it God wishing us well? Or just another flaming rock with a vendetta? But wait, understandably, everyone has things to do. It's mating season for some, brunch season for others. There's a T-Rex making plans for a social gathering, and suddenly someone's yelling, "Yo, get the extra napkins! We're going to have a feast, even if it kills us." Maybe they should have looked up. Or perhaps that's where the social etiquette really fell apart. Now, let's talk about sensory overload. You can almost taste the fear in the air, or is that asteroids? Either way, that's a flavor you've never experienced before. Smoky, acidic, and, let's be real, just downright bad. Just picture the ground rumbling beneath your feet, the trees swaying like they're part of some ancient dance ritual, and the air crackling with a charge that screams, "Get ready for an uninvited guest." And as this fiery giant closes the distance, you might wonder, how do I explain this to my friends? Should you form a band and go on a farewell tour? Or create a TikTok dance? A challenge with an asteroid theme? Maybe just scream, "Live every moment like the asteroid's just a terrible pun waiting to drop on you." It's comedic chaos for sure. The ground shakes with a delightful intensity, reminiscent of your neighbor's dog on an energetic day. But let's not make light of what's happening. This is the moment that will change everything. And it's not just the weather forecast predicting mild doom with a chance of devastation. Then the moment finally arrives. With an earth-rattling boom, the asteroid collides with the planet's surface, and it's, well, let's say, not great. No bouquets of flowers, no dinner invitations, just a splash of chaos and a new crater that would eventually fill with a sense of impending doom, and probably a few dino tears. Now, if the dinosaurs were anything like modern humans, you can bet this would be followed by mass chaos and a fire drill that makes your old school's drills feel like a leisurely stroll through a botanical garden. Wishful thinking? The fireball rocks the world like college students after finals week. It's an absolute meltdown. Yet, through that chaos, you can't help but think, what a way to go! All this drama, intrigue, swipe left for meteors, cosmic irony, and here you are in the middle of it. Perhaps when it's over, you'll be talking about it for centuries, or at least until the next big extinction event rolls around. So now, as the fiery light fades and the echo of the impact whispers through this wild world, let your mind drift away, dear traveler. We've journeyed through comedy, chaos, and cosmic calamity, blending the absurd with the catastrophic. Something tells me sleep will be more restful now that you've conquered this adventure. Chapter 18: Waves of Catastrophe and Seismic Shenanigans. The immediate aftermath of the Chicxulub impact, a time when things went awry faster than a hamster on a jet ski. Imagine, if you will, standing on the shore, sipping your best Jurassic iced coffee, or maybe it's more of a T-Rex sized smoothie that could double as a gentle tidal wave. You wouldn't have time to settle down with your drink because out of the blue, a colossal tsunami comes crashing in, a reminder that nature doesn't believe in personal space or light washing of the dishes. As that monumental wall of water races towards the coast, you can practically hear it yelling, "Surprise! This isn't your typical day at the beach." No, this is more akin to Mother Nature throwing an impromptu party sends the invitations. We're talking about a wave so massive it could make even the bravest of pterosaurs think about reconsidering their vacation plans. What do? Grab your floaties and hope for the best? Or perhaps try to swim slightly faster than a swimming brontosaurus? Choices. Within moments, the water crashes inland, uprooting trees like they're mere dandelions, sending prehistoric foliage flying through the air. So many plants, It's like trying to navigate through a salad bar during rush hour, only this salad is out for vengeance. Debris tumbles around you, and you'd swear it looked like the dinosaurs were experiencing something akin to a cinematic disaster flick, with lots of slow motion disbelief that they just didn't see coming. Let's take a beat to admire the irony here. Mother Nature, in all her glory, is wielding her might with all the subtlety of a drunken Oompa Loompa. As the wave retreats, it leaves behind chaos, tossing around fish that are probably more confused than a cat in a dog park. Side note, ever seen a dinosaur try to catch a fish? Spoiler alert, it doesn't end well. Have a wet T-Rex trying to figure out the intricacies of aquatic dining? Pure comedy gold. And just when you thought the excitement was over, enter stage left. Seismic shockwaves. Picture it like a really raucous after party, where every step you took felt like walking on a trampoline while your drunk uncle rants about conspiracy theories. The ground beneath your feet starts to rumble, and you can't help but feel that this whole scenario has really escalated. It's less earthquake and more, Earth, did you have to have taco night again? Talk about a disorienting experience. Those shockwaves travel like gossip through the ancient dinosaur grapevine, and before you know it, everyone is in a panic. Did you feel that? Ground shaking like a dino at a disco. Your good pal, the Triceratops, might even be rolling his eyes like a teenage kid at his parents' karaoke night. Can you blame him? He was planning on having a leisurely day grazing, not attending what could only be described as the world's most chaotic roller coaster. Remember that classic medieval theme of fleeing the scene? Well, imagine a world where the only way to be stylish was to run for your life, chic. The dinosaurs would have been wearing flight, like it was the latest fashion trend, sprinting away in various outfits, soaring through the thick jungles, or clearing those truly stylish pines. It's like a Jurassic version of a mad dash to the mall during a Black Friday sale. Except the merchandise is potentially deadlier than kombucha during its first fermentation. But even in the sheer pandemonium, there's something oddly soothing about the scene. Picture the natural rhythm of waves crashing, along with the slight tremors beneath your feet. It's nature's own lullaby, sprinkled with a dash of chaos. The sort of soothing soundtrack that, if reimagined, would probably lead right into a relaxing spa day, just one with significantly more massive reptiles. Imagine your massage therapist is a brontosaurus treating you with some light back cracking. You'd probably leave feeling like $1,000,000. With the din of roaring creatures and the resonance of the land slowly settling down, it feels almost surreal. Your dino buddies are either furiously conversing or simply trying to figure out a game plan. Because who really prepares for global catastrophe while minding their own business? You might have thought filtering through tribulations was a tedious exercise, but nope. Nature just slapped a timetable on that aspect of life, and you're looking at the clock wondering how the dinosaurs survived without their own episodes of Survivor, Cretaceous Edition. Yet, through the pandemonium and seismic shakes, there's one thing to take away from this beautiful mess: adaptability. Because when you're faced with a cosmic hiccup of unprecedented proportions, it's either swim or be swallowed, and it looks like that wave doesn't discriminate. Amid all that nonsense, you've got to applaud the resilient, resourceful nature of those lovable reptiles who now have to rethink their plans for survival in an ever-changing world and possibly switch to water-resistant apparel. And there you have it, a whirlwind of chaos that stirs both curiosity and a slight chuckle as you contemplate how ancient beings coped with literal waves of catastrophe. In the grand saga of life, it's clear that even amidst the seismic shifts, there's always room for a little laughter and a whole lot of lessons guaranteed to keep you on your toes. Just let that knowledge swirl through your thoughts like a gentle tide as you drift into a calm slumber. Chapter 19: Flames of Discontent and Treetop Tantrums. Now let's cozy up and dive right into a picture of chaos that smells suspiciously like a burnt marshmallow. Welcome to the golden age of dinosaurs, when life was more colorful than a tie-dye T-Rex rave. But tonight, we'll focus on a less rhythmic yet equally chaotic event: the great wildfires that turned lush landscapes into smoldering reminders of maybe we should have thought this through. Imagine, if you will, the vast forests stretching across the land like the world's largest green blanket, only to have that blanket caught in a post-barbecue flare-up. The trees, oh the trees! Towering giants of ancient life, dancing in the wind like awkward relatives at a family wedding. One wrong spark and it's like throwing a one-hitter to a group of very enthusiastic firecrackers. You're standing there, perhaps sipping a nice mug of dino brew, a delightful blend of fermented ferns and questionable intentions, when you catch the first whiff of smoke, a curled finger beckoning you to come hither to the inferno of doom. You might as well start packing your bags for the inevitable evacuation, because let's be honest, you won't be winning any fire safety awards today. The sky slowly transforms, as if a clumsy artist decided to paint it with soot instead of blues and golds. Was the sky always this shade of, I don't know, charcoal gray? You ponder aloud while the air thickens around you. It's like trying to breathe through an overly zealous grilled cheese sandwich that's been left on the stove far too long. Not exactly the refreshing forest air you'd signed up for, huh? And just when you think things couldn't get worse, those towering trees backpedal into the spotlight of catastrophe. With every crack and snap, the sounds are reminiscent of your next-door neighbor trying to assemble their IKEA furniture without the manual. Imagine the emotional support you'd need. For those trees, once proud and towering, now reduced to just flaming columns of what could have been. You half expect them to drag their branches in a half-hearted attempt at a Lowe's advertisement, claiming they wanted to branch out before they burst into glorious flames. Now, let's take a moment for a salute to the poor plants down below, which are basically just the ground-level spectators to this very ineffective dino sitcom. They had lived their entire lives in peace, only to be turned into what you might call veggie dust. Really, Mother Nature, a little warning would be appreciated instead of just springing a global catastrophe on everyone. Turning forests into crispy critters isn't just inconsiderate, it's downright rude. You would think in an era of unrivaled biological innovation, someone could come up with a fire retardant made from swamp ferns or something, but alas, it's pretty much just you, standing there staring as flames dart like pixies on, espresso, hungrily consuming everything in sight. The frantic sounds of prehistoric wildlife are a cacophony, anywhere from absolute panic to existential dread, as they hurry to flee. Imagine a herd of herbivorous dinosaurs declaring, well, that escalated faster than a woolly mammoth with a sugar rush. Maybe you catch a rumble of a nearby raptor muttering about the lack of proper fire drill procedures. You're telling me you just build a huge campfire every night without an exit strategy? Classic. And just when you might feel a pang of sympathy for these ginormous creatures, you remember they've survived worse. They've weathered hurricanes, dinosaur-sized waves, and were probably present during that one time when a neighboring valley was just plain rude and issued a volcanic rant. So, As flames lick around, there's a common unifying bond among the dinosaurs. A calm acceptance that chaos is merely a part of their normal. In the heart of the catastrophe, a curious thing begins to happen. Amidst the swirling chaos of smoke and hollering dino ranchers, life finds a way, as it often does. It's almost poetic, really. Picture seeds locked in a fiery embrace, releasing their inner potential like tiny rockets of hope, ready to sprout and give everyone a good laugh in the long run. Mother Nature might be having a bad hair day, but deep down, she knows this whole burn and revive thing keeps the cycle of life spinning faster than a chicken trying to cross a very busy road. You pause to take it all in as the air continues to thicken with soot and mystery. It's comical to think that in the grand scheme of things, just like the latest viral TikTok dance, the inferno will become a nostalgic memory of what trees looked like just before they tested the limits of their thermal endurance. What was that? You ask, glancing over at enlightened Triceratops' ear to the ground, both slightly confused and charred. But the simplest truth is, amidst all this catastrophe, there lies humor layered deep within the ashes. It's a reminder that even when everything is literally going up in flames, there's something slightly comforting about how nature finds a way to give us a few chuckles. As the smoke curls up, you catch yourself smiling, just a little. Who knew the golden age of dinosaurs would double as a comedy sketch? You just have to breathe in, stay calm, and prepare for the wave of hilarity and absurdity that life throws your way. So settle in as the show keeps rolling. Chapter 20: Ashes to Ferns and the Strangely Resilient. Hey guys, are you ready to embark on a dreamy trip through time? Picture this: a landscape so post-apocalyptic, it makes the last 4 seasons of your favorite series look like a cozy sitcom. Tonight, we're diving into a haunting scene where the ground is more ashy than a weekend yoga retreat gone wrong. You'll be indulging in the tale of life, returning to a world where dinosaurs did their best to channel their inner phoenix after an extinction event that was about as welcome as a family reunion during flu season. Before we get rolling, if you find yourself giggling or chuckling at any point during this journey, do the ancient non-dino dance and hit the like button, subscribe if your heart desires, and maybe even leave a comment if you're feeling extra inspired. Only if you actually enjoy this, of course. Otherwise, we suggest writing a strongly worded letter to your past self about the questionable choices leading to this moment. Now, go ahead and dim the lights, put on a fan, and get comfy, preferably with something soft and warm like a woolly mammoth blanket or whatever plausible substitute you can find. Tonight, we're going to wonder about the past. What would it have been like to awaken and realize that the world had turned into a literal ashtray after the dinosaurs decided to outdo themselves in a fiery exit? Would you experience existential dread or just demand more snacks? How would you deal with that one tree, the survivor of the smoky apocalypse, still holding on like a lifeguard during a particularly dramatic beach episode? Well, congratulations. You've just woken up in 66 million years ago, in the charming ruins of a world where dinosaurs once roamed, and the ash-covered ground is just the start of your endlessly quirky adventure. Imagine a landscape deflated like a sad balloon at a kid's birthday party, stretched thin over what was once a vibrant ecosystem. You step outside, feeling a strange crunch beneath your feet, not the satisfying crunch of fresh leaves, but rather the gritty remnants of a world that seemed to have celebrated its final birthday bash with a dash of chaos. Welcome to your new normal. A land where everything smells slightly charred and you can almost hear the collective sigh of the universe saying, "Oops," in front of you. Resilient ferns poke through the ashy earth, like stubborn toddlers grappling with a tantrum. This flora isn't just having a rebellious phase. It's the brave first responder in nature's own sitcom of recovery. Picture those ferns layered in ash like they're trying out for a band roll, 2 pints and a fern, maybe? The soft scrolling tendrils rise like those questionable DIY projects you saw on Pinterest, promising hope in the aftermath of chaos. The air carries the distinct smell of charred ambition, a bizarre blend of loss and renewal, like your uncle trying to recreate his famous barbecue sauce, but forgetting it on the stove while proving the existence of time travel by way of a totally improvised rapping dinosaur. You know the type. As you walk, each step sends up tiny clouds of powdered memories, remnants of a once thriving world inhabited by creatures so large they made your childhood bullies look like cute little garden gnomes. But let's take a moment to appreciate the absurdity of this new reality. Far from sunbathing under a gentle dappling of light, you might just be channeling your inner moist potato, navigating through a reality void of even the slightest hint of comfort. The horizon is dotted with the skeletons of ancient trees, their charred corpses standing tall and proudly erect, serving only one purpose now: to remind you of what lived here. Once, with a gravitas reminiscent of a washed-up circus act. In fact, it seems that those poor trees seem to have taken up a new career as the world's least enthusiastic light poles. You half expect one of them, a particularly charred beauty with a knack for the dramatic, to suddenly shout, "Look at me, I'm on fire and no one is watching." It's not just an extinction event. It's a fiery open mic night gone wrong. Amidst this disarray, our persistent ferns make their brave bid for survival, fierce little warriors breaking through the thick crust of ashy despair. Ever try to convince a houseplant to live through a vigorous drought? Yep, we're talking ferns here, firmly channeling their inner "we will survive." You can almost hear them murmur in a sea of soft ferns. At least we'll have decent stories for the new generations of plants someday. Take notes, kid. As your eyes wander, they catch glimpses of other newly sprouted life attempting to navigate this charred wasteland. You might marvel at a group of hardy cacti, all decked out in their impressive outfits, yelling, "We brought the prickly optimism!" The ironic cheerleaders of the post-apocalyptic scene. Who knew you could have a cactus renaissance party between geological disasters? The eeriness of the thickening air is almost palpable, blending the melancholy of loss with the hopeful charm of a passionate renaissance. Like a cautionary tale handed out by an overly dramatic history teacher. You know the type. The ashes whisper messages of resilience back at you. Perhaps even nature itself wants you to remember it can always bounce back, much like that embarrassing falling off the treadmill moment you try not to recall, and suddenly you get it. This is no quiet mausoleum. It's just a prelude to new life springing forth from the ashes. Breathe in deep, there's humor here. Even in the plight, there exists absurdity and the bright spark of hope. Just like that late-night infomercial for that questionable kitchen gadget you didn't know you needed until you saw it glow under neon lights, promising a made-for-TV miracle. The golden age has weathered storms and chaos. It just keeps going, because laughter, like life, finds a way. As you settle into this lost world, remember, amidst burning trees, emerging ferns, and the occasional drama from stubborn cacti, the universe may seem chaotic. But it's also beautifully funny, like life's own version of a whimsical gallery opening, minus the snacks, of course. Chapter 21. Chirps, buzzes, and the dawn of the twinkle-toed flyers. As we transition from the ash-strewn graveyard of once mighty beasts, let's chat about some other resilient little critters rising to the occasion. Forget about dinosaurs. You're waking up in a universe where small, nimble insects and those plucky early birds are making big moves in a world that's been more shaken up than a toddler on a sugar high. Welcome to the golden age of survival and adaptability, where every day feels like a reality TV show and the stakes involve not getting squished by a giant foot. Picture this. It's about 66 million years ago. You've just rubbed the sleep out of your eyes, and there's more buzzing around you than at a karaoke night packed with enthusiastic amateur singers. The insects, those pint-sized champions of evolution, are absolutely thriving. Not just surviving, they're having a full-on pajama party, celebrating their newfound dominance in this sunny yet smoky the world. Don't be fooled, they are ready for their close-up. Ever wondered what life would be like surrounded by walking underbrush? Imagine that giant leaf in your garden turned sentient and decided to throw a rave. That's the vibe here. With the extinction of large terrestrial giants like the T, Rex and Triceratops, nature's little nitwits embraced their chance to fill those eco-niches like they were trying to snag the best seats at the local brew pub. These insects, some no bigger than a fingernail, are busy redistributing the universe's energy. They're like the overly enthusiastic brunch crowd that thinks they can recreate the energy of the city before noon. They buzz, glide, and occasionally engage in spontaneous dance-offs. If dance-offs involve a lot of flapping and perhaps a graceful pirouette around a dying fern. Imagine a mosquito trying to impress an aphid. It's like the awkward teen dance of the insect kingdom. Let's take a moment to swoon over our early bird friends. Those feathered fellows who, one could argue, had their sights set on more than just dinner. They were the true trendsetters, establishing aerial acrobatics that would put any Olympic gymnast to shame. These birds are flapping about with more drama than a group text in a millennial family chat. Can you visualize them? Tiny winged noises flitting around like a slightly less chaotic version of a modern-day flash mob, showcasing their talents for an audience of awestruck beetles and some very confused ferns. And what's that? The shrill call of the early avian vocals rings through the air, echoing like an off-key serenade at a rom-com flashback. Their chirps fill the environment with ambiance, telling tales of their adventures or perhaps gossiping about the latest gardening tips from the most recent dust storm or what their least favorite fern is. Hint, it has the drama. Walking through this post-dino world, you find yourself involuntarily tapping your foot to nature's new top hits. Picture it, the sounds of buzzing, chirping and leaf crunching serenading you like a soothing ambient track for napping. You eye a cluster of iridescent winged insects, each stomp of your foot causing a mini scatter party. The air is thick with their hustle, a buzz louder than the demeanor of your next-door neighbor when they start DIY renovations at 6 a.m. on a Saturday. You must also ask yourself, have they always been this loud? It's like they've collectively signed up for the local version of Entomologist Idol. Now, if you really want to appreciate the resilience of this ecosystem, focus on the latest trend, the rise of the small and sprightly. Have you ever been at a grocery store only to witness an overly excited toddler grabbing at bright-colored cereal with wild abandon? That's exactly what those tiny insects are doing, not just scuttling, but frantically flitting about, vying for a niche in this brave new world. They are seizing every opportunity with the agility of a barista, dodging a morning rush. And let's not overlook the inventive ways they've adapted. their survival instincts have unlocked new talents. Ever have that friend who insists on trying every wacky dance move at a wedding? Well, insects have taken those lessons to heart. There's a bug for every occasion here. Their evening parties are filled with acrobatic displays between flower petals, complete with a confetti shower made from bits of pollen. Dancing and eating at the same time? That's efficiency, my friend. In summary, as you breathe in the swirling mix of smoky remnants and fresh budding life, you realize there's something profoundly hopeful in the absurdity of it all. Whether it's the stubborn waves of fern or the relentless jittering of nature's cast of eclectic characters, you are a witness to a gritty adaptation montage. Life's quirky sitcom continues through the darkest episodes. In this moment, as tiny beasts and buzzing birds redefine what it means to thrive. There's laughter in survival, and frankly, plenty of characters ready for their close-up. No giant lizards needed. Chapter 22. Feathered Friends and the Unfathomable Evolution of Bird Bits. Hey guys, pull on your metaphorical time travel pens and prepare for a trip thicker than a 90-second sitcom plot. Tonight, we're soaring through history, from toothy terrors to the feathery descendants still causing a ruckus outside your window. But before we dive into a realm as wild as your Uncle Larry's tales after a few too many beers, let's set the stage. Imagine a time before avocados were smashed on every brunch table around 66 million years ago, to be precise. You're nestled in a world filled with creatures that look like modern-day horror show rejects, and the only filter available is catastrophic extinction. Yup, that's right. You've just dropped into the final act of the Cretaceous period, the era when the dinosaurs reigned supreme and evolution was, let's say, rolling dice with a loaded bag. Now, while you sit back and ponder questions like, did T-Rex have any fashion sense, or was he just a giant scaly goof? Or can pterosaurs even pull off that flying fox look? Take a moment to appreciate just how much chaos fit into a single era. Ever wondered how silk feathers evolved from scaly duds? How about the great pigeon perch miracle? Just how attuned was your neighborhood sparrow's ancestor to dodging a giant boulder with all the coordination of a toddler on roller skates? Congratulations! You've just woken up in a world where epic lizards strutted around like they owned the place. Well, technically they did. And where the concept of light as a feather had yet to be invented. It's a place so vibrant it could make a fluorescent rave feel like a dreary Tuesday morning. Now, here you are, standing amidst a sweeping landscape that looks like nature went on a bender with a paint can. Lush ferns wave around you, giving off that end-of-the-world vibe, while the sky shudders above in hues that would make even the most seasoned artist take a double take. In this jaw-dropping panorama, you spot a curious modern bird, perhaps a pigeon, with all its sassy nonchalance perched up on a railing, enjoying its absolute diva moment. And then, like a magic show gone delightfully wrong, a ghostly silhouette swoops into view behind it, the outline of a theropod looking somewhere between a fashionably late party guest and a terrifying dinner date. That's right, folks! Evolutionarily speaking, this little feathered friend is the really great grandchild of ferocious predators who could probably take your lunch money if they hadn't met a dramatic end. Let's take a moment here to delve into history's absurdity. You see, theropods were equipped like nature's version of Swiss Army knives. If you think about it, it's kind of relatable, isn't it? That yearning we all have to fit a million talents into our lives, like being a skilled chef, part-time comedian, and professional napper all at once. Picture them, these theropods, balancing on 2 feet, as though someone had told them that knees were just optional accessories. As you gaze into the depths of reason behind this fabulous feathered friend combination, take in the sheer strangeness of evolution. It's as if Mother Nature sat down and said, "How can I make these creatures unique?" And then proceeded to swirl together feathers, claws, and absurdly elongated limbs like it was the biggest evolutionary salad bar the universe has ever seen. Now, let's not gloss over the shocking twist to this tale. While these seeming lumbering giants strutted about, the clock was ticking down to an epic finale, the Extinction event. That's right. Picture a cataclysmic scene worse than a group project gone wrong. We're talking asteroids and volcanic chaos, all mixed into one wicked cocktail of cosmic mismanagement. It's like the universe decided to slam the door on the biggest celebration of lizard life ever thrown. Before you can even finish contemplating why a theropod might have even contemplated taking that last leap across the canyon, let's take a second to notice that little pigeon again. It's pecking the ground as if searching for secrets. Its distant cousin, the theropod, once roamed the earth with a swagger unmatched by any modern creature, and now it has reduced itself to nicking crumbs outside Starbucks and giving questionable looks to passers-by. Talk about a glow down. This bird's life is relatable, posted up after a lavish ancestors party. Now left to scrounge in a world that seems to have sharpened its vote of confidence on evolutionary changes. It even seems to perch high and mighty, entitled after a million years of lineage to give unsolicited life advice to confused mice. Imagine it whispering, "You might want to scuttle over there, buddy," before something drops from the sky. So here you are, lying back and processing absurdity, enveloped in the scent of grass, where a feathered billboard of prehistoric lineage collides with your modern sensibilities. Still, it leaves you with questions like, will we ever find the equivalent of an evolutionary glow-up? Or, how many dance-offs did it take for those feathers to be considered attractive? In a world pitted with bizarre creatures, dramatic endings, and the unending dance of survival, these small moments of humor help you drift into a serene sleep. So while you find yourself floating away on dreams of feathered fables and a feather quilt stitched together from the most fabulous of contracts with time, remember this: life, like history, can be absurd, hilarious, and undeniably beautiful, even if sometimes it leads us to sleep under cloud-strewn skies. Chapter 23: The Towering Terror of Tiny Feet. Hey guys, grab your favorite plush dinosaur, because tonight we're diving into a world that makes your backyard garden look like a cozy, derogatory petting zoo. Prepare for an adventure so incredible that even your cousin, who swears he's been adopted by the FBI, wouldn't believe it. Picture this: a particularly vibrant exhibit at a contemporary museum. Yes, the kind where children squeal louder than excited hyenas. Beneath towering ceilings that could give skyscrapers an inferiority complex, you find yourself standing in awe before the spectacle of the T-Rex skeleton. It looms above you like a toothy shadow, beckoning forth all the excitement of an ancient creature meeting modern-day giant coffee cups that promises to fuel your day and distract you from existential dread. Let's get hyped, shall we? Ever looked at a T-Rex and wondered just how many burritos it could devour in one sitting? Did it ever contemplate hosting a late-night talk show with its killer smile and mischievous personality? How about a rap battle with a velociraptor over who had better style? Spoiler: the one with the more elaborate headgear always wins. Congratulations. You've just woken up in a Jurassic Museum exhibit on a school trip, complete with a cadre of tiny humans bubbling over with the kind of energy best reserved for birthday parties and sugar highs. You hold your breath. The air is a delightful mix of dust, aged plaster, and a sprinkle of fear. You can almost hear the skeleton whispering, "Just one bite." There's a miniature archaeologist, a child, staring up at the bones with a mixture of awe and misunderstanding, trying to fathom how these grand monsters popped out of eggs smaller than a picnic basket. Their squeaks of enthusiasm could rival the very dinosaurs it's marveling at. "Mom, do you think T-Rex preferred pizza or tacos?" The child asks, eyes wide, as if they might explode with curiosity. Ah, the raw potential of youth. As they bounce on their tiny feet, you embark on this captivating journey back in time. You drift deeper into this ancient world where lizards had such impressive hip flexibility they could have been auditioning for So You Think You Can Dance. Imagine watching a brontosaurus doing the cha-cha while a pterodactyl gently swoops by, critiquing its form like a half-plucked chicken on a soapbox. The museum floor is polished to a sparkle that the dinosaurs would surely have loved if only they had known about cleaning products. At the same time, you hear the muffled sounds of gallery-hopping families flitting about like bees in search of, well, something other than honey. High-pitched giggles punctuate the hum of excitement, blending with the historical context like jelly on peanut butter, but just a tad more sticky. Now, let's talk about some of their other peers, the smaller dinosaurs. Those dino doggos were likely prancing around, being all cute and fluffy, with ridiculously short arms that rendered them essentially useless in a high-stakes game of patty cake. You can't make this up, you think as you ponder. Did they hold a grudge against nature? Forever pondering why they weren't blessed with longer limbs while lumbering around like well-dressed toddlers attempting to dunk basketballs? As our little dino enthusiast inspects the majestic T, a Rex's skull, a jaw that looks better suited for lunchtime than life. You can sense untapped questions bubbling up. When do they start learning how to be a dinosaur? The child wonders aloud. Well, if only history had a user manual. For example, it could say, Step 1, eat everything in sight. Step 2, learn to dodge meteors, preferably while wearing a protective helmet. T. Rex was not just a pure brute, but a whole universe of personality. This was a critter that, if plopped into today's dating scene, would probably swipe right with its giant claws. Some might argue it had the charm of an oversized house cat, only with a dental plan that could terrify even the bravest of orthodontists. Imagine the T. Rex on a first date, trying to impress a sweet little triceratops, saying, "I absolutely adore long walks along the ferns." How about we reminisce about the good old days when our ancestors roamed the earth, munching on banana trees and dodging cosmic calamity? It's a rough take on romance, where two massive carnivores awkwardly squeak about relationships, their tails constantly getting tangled. Yet, in all their awesomeness, there was a ticking clock, because, as you know, not all stories have happy endings. You can almost feel the tension from the cosmic drama brewing in the atmosphere, each interaction echoing a tale undone by an impending global catastrophe. The child's contemplative gaze shifts to the ceiling, possibly pondering the skies and what shaped the dinosaur's fate: a meteor, a volcanic eruption, or perhaps an existential crisis over who would win the best Jurassic-themed talent show. If only someone had thought about earplugs. You think, chuckling at the idea of that family-friendly event, Pandemonium. But let's not forget, history isn't just about the great adventures of towering lizards. It's about laughter, curiosity, and the understanding that these colossal beings were, in essence, just a few slightly confused creatures avoiding demise while trying to figure out how to establish the ultimate dino disco. So, as you watch that tiny child overflowing with questions, you realize how beautiful absurdity can be, even when it comes from giant creatures who had nothing on dental hygiene. In this beautifully imperfect bubble of imagination and history, you find yourself drifting, enveloped in dreams, where questions about dinosaurs are just as important as your own everyday musings about coffee and questionable life choices. Chapter 24: A Dance with Stones. Hey guys, grab your favorite blanket and maybe a cat to snuggle with, because tonight we're embarking on a journey more ancient than your dad's jokes. Welcome to the seemingly mundane yet utterly hilarious world of dinosaur fossilization. It's a tale that will rock your world and then turn it to stone. Picture this: you're a 250 million year old dinosaur, strutting through lush prehistoric jungles, feeling oh so cool with your massive body and fleshy scales. But out of nowhere, bam, catastrophes loom larger than that one time your high school band tried to play during a hurricane. Spoiler alert, the rock stars of this era didn't just fade away, they became future museum pieces. Talk about an unexpected career shift. Now, maybe you've wondered what's it like to go from being a valiant lizard hipster lounging in the sun to a fossil under the careful gaze of a 21st century paleontologist who hasn't calculated his own tax returns. Like, did T-Rex ever think about its post-life gig? Will I be part of a fancy exhibition or a low-budget school project? Honestly, these existential questions might just keep you up at night. Or they will soon, if you keep listening. Alright, cozy up, because congratulations. You've just woken up in the late Triassic period, right in the thick of a world dominated by erratically behaving ecosystems and ancient lizards. You can hear the croaking of giant amphibians and the rustling of ferns as tall as your neighbor's questionable hedge. This is where history meets good old-fashioned chaos, and honestly, who would want to miss that? Now, let's talk bones specifically, yours. Imagine if your bones got tired of all the gallivanting and just decided to chill out in some sediment. Ah yes, burial by mud. Not quite a spa day, but let's paint a picture. You're mingling with the other cool kids, shaking your tail at a party to impress that cute stegosaurus across the way when, suddenly, a wave of mud takes you down. Dude, not cool, you manage to think as you find yourself unceremoniously silted over, your last glimpses of freedom obscured by dirt. As the days turn into eons, the party moves on, but you, oh dear, are stuck in your muddy tomb, transforming slowly like a cheap mixtape made from the recordings of a dial-up modem. Your body begins to break down, replaced by minerals, until you find yourself a solid piece of history, just chilling in stone. The drama of it all? Now, let's get personal. Can you imagine how much dust is in that mud? Among the likes of mosquitoes that survived by having an ungodly number of children and swamps that were probably just as confusing as online dating now, you truly became part of an extravaganza. As your remains turned into something that scientists one day deem fossils, various creatures move in and out of the geological spotlight, like the fashion icons of their day. Some shimmered like today's hipster baristas, others strutted with zest, better suited for TikTok, and yet all of them just sort of faded into the ether. Once the rocks finally laid down to rest, nature got a little theatrical and started taking its time. Erosion marks the passage of time, like the slow progression of a Netflix binge. 1 minute, you think you're just hanging out, the next you're buried under layers of geology. Did those sedimentary layers ever think to gossip about all the prehistoric drama? You wouldn't believe the outfits that T-Rex was rocking last millennia. Just wow. But seriously, he should really try shorter arms. And as the epochs rolled on, volcanic eruptions and other global catastrophes added suspense to your fossilization process. Say, a meteor comes barreling through the atmosphere. A cosmic boulder with all the subtlety of an ill-timed surprise party. The chaos was real. Do you feel it? Does anyone feel the ground shaking? You might ponder as rocks and debris fly around like confetti at the worst wedding ever. Rolling onward to the glorious end of the Cretaceous period, the countdown to extinction began. Dinosaurs were probably making bets on who could dodge that ominous star, and just your luck, you end up on the wrong side of the cosmic roulette, leading to a worldwide catastrophe that sent creatures and cultures spiraling into an epic conclusion. Your dreams of being a museum centerpiece? Thwarted. You didn't ask to become geological history, but lo and behold, here you are. So here you lie, encased in a rock-hard fate, like a selfie gone wrong at a family barbecue. Imagine the discovery years later. Some paleontologist with a sense of humor finds you. Ah, what have we here? They'd quip, examining that fossilized hip. Looks like the dino equivalent of a bad haircut. And yet, with every squirming dust particle that clung to your fossilized bones, there would be a wry nod to the trials of existence. The Prehistory and the Prehistory ridiculousness of being a rock star long after the last dance was over. Perhaps all along you were a little profound amidst the absurdity, a whisper from the past reminding future civilizations that at one point life was like an unending parade of oversized lizards and mishaps, all silently encoded in stone. So as you slip into slumber, think of those ancient giants, having their moment, one where the curtains rise and the lights dim, each becoming a story woven into the fabric of time, forever resting beneath layers of laughter and layers of sediments. And just like that, you find yourself at peace, nestled in dreams of stomping through lush ferns and sharing hilarious tales with your long-lost dino buddies, perhaps laughing at the very concept of absurd, as if it's a silly old stone of an idea. Chapter 25. The Dance of the Continents. Hey guys, grab your favorite blanket and maybe a snack that doesn't involve too much crunching, because tonight we're diving deeper into the world of dinosaurs than you thought possible. So deep. We could be talking about existential crises under the weight of your Aunt Linda's potato salad. Welcome to a time roughly 252 million years ago to about 66 million years ago, where life was strong, vibrant, and, let's be honest, kind of a bit chaotic. Like your last family reunion where Uncle Bob tried to teach everyone TikTok dances. Now that we've settled in, let's ponder a few things. Ever considered how easy it would be to accidentally become part of Earth's geological wallpaper? Or how many meteors it takes to ruin a good day out on the prehistoric plains? Would a T-Rex ever complain about its tiny arms, or would it just strut around like a runway model, all about that attitude? You're about to find out. Congratulations. You've just woken up somewhere between the Triassic and Cretaceous periods, an era filled with more dramatic flair than a soap opera on its fifth revival. Just imagine. You stretch and yawn, brushing aside ferns taller than your childhood dreams, when suddenly you're overshadowed by a dinosaur whose name sounds like it belongs to a particularly boisterous hose. Meet the Apatosaurus, or, as it likes to call itself, Sultans of Swag. Let's talk about the scenery. The landscape is more picturesque than a travel poster for prehistoric Hawaii, with lush greens and encounter-worthy, jaw-dropping valleys, environmental art that even the greatest modern Instagrammers would find hard to replicate. The air is thick with the smell of damp earth, vast flora, and that hint of sulfur that whispers, hey, things are about to get wild. Everywhere you look, movement abounds. Giant insects flit about, buzzing around like they're out for a night on the town just a casual Wednesday. In a world where evolution didn't quite settle on the rules yet, ever find a mosquito at a barbecue? Imagine that mosquito being the size of your toaster. Yikes. And speaking of size, let's delve into the dance of the continents. The tectonic plates beneath your feet are like a cosmic game of chicken. Pushing and pulling and shifting like that friend who keeps accidentally bumping into you during a concert. One moment, you're chilling in what looks like a snug spot between the two largest land masses of the time, and the next, boom! You find yourself in the middle of a mega land shuffle. It's like an extreme game of Jenga, except this time the pieces are literally the size of Texas, and instead of falling, they just keep on moving. Oh, did we mention the ocean? Welcome to a salty expanse teeming with ancient cronies like the formidable shark, aka the early ancestor of that guy who shows up uninvited to your barbecue and leaves chewing loudly. Here, marine life flourished beneath the waves in colorful communities, engaging in aquatic banter and the occasional dramatic flip as a show of dino prowess. Life was like a late-night comedy club, with the stakes rising higher than your hopes of a Friday night out after a long week. But hold on to your hats, because things aren't just peachy in our ancient world. Every 100 million years or so, life gets about as fragile as a toddler with a cupcake. Natural disasters? They were basically the neighborhood bullies of the geologic timeline. Volcanic eruptions popped up more frequently than impromptu family meetings on where to allocate the leftover salad, that is to say, atmospheric hairdos. We're seeing some major updrafts in volcanic ash. Moreover, as the clock ticked ahead, climate patterns swung through changes that would make your Spotify playlist look like a stable arrangement. 1 minute, it's tropical beach vibes. The next, it resembles your aunt's attic. Dusty, dark, and filled with long-lost remnants of nostalgia. That is, if your attic was 100 times bigger and came equipped with a few rampaging dinosaurs. But here's the kicker, the final punchline of this ancient drama. About 66 million years ago, life's fragile dance faced an outrageous halt when an asteroid decided it could crash the longest-running show in history. It's as if the universe confused "add a little drama" with "let's send a flaming rock the size of a city straight into Earth." Picture this, you're all out, trying to impress that dapper velociraptor across the way, and wham! Cosmic chaos rains down upon you like an uninvited downpour on your picnic. Suddenly, it's like your favorite diner closed down, and all that's left is the sad remains of yesterday's special. Dinosaurs, who once thought they were the peak of existence, engulfed in confusion, were asking one another if they might order takeout. Spoiler alert, nothing would arrive. As you gently drift into sleep, lost in dreams of life that once was, remember that no matter how heavy the burden of existence feels right now, even the mightiest dinosaurs face the whims of the cosmos. And like those ancient kings of chaos, perhaps the only wise approach is to embrace the absurdity of life, celebrating every unwanted asteroid that comes your way, one ridiculous dance at a time. So there you lie, cozily nestled in layers of dreams, and playfully pondering the fact that, like the T-Rex who never quite learned to fold its laundry, sometimes it's the little absurdities of life that remind you to relax, snicker, and drift off into the peaceful embrace of prehistoric tomfoolery.